Right now, there is the wackiest legal battle I've ever learned about going on in the shadows. There's a secret war between major food brands and the FDA, mainly cereal producers like General Mills and Kellogg's, because the FDA is proposing new guidelines on the term healthy when it relates to things like their cereal. And under these new potential guidelines, their cereals would have to erase that term from their marketing. And they're not too happy about it. They're wiggling their fingers saying, no, no, no. We have a First Amendment right to free speech, which they have been using for years to effectively lie and mislead their customers into thinking that their cereals aren't bad for them. Free speech is a beautiful and sacred, wonderful thing that plays no role in this corporate greed and false advertisement. I think it should be obvious that corporations can't just make shit up and make any claims they want to, just pull random, like, nonsense claims out of their ass for their products in order to sell it. Like, there needs to be some truth to the claims. Like, this is not a free speech issue. This is literally just bad business practice and fucking lying. Alleged lying. I want to make it clear. Alleged. General Mills and Kellogg's have been fucking shaking their fists and wiggling in anger at this whole situation. I don't want them to get mad at me, too. Alleged. Take a peek at this puppy. Fruity Pebbles and Lucky Charms threaten to block healthy food labeling guidelines in court, saying it limits their free speech. The proposed FDA rule mandates that foods labeled as healthy must contain a major food group such as dairy, fruits, or whole grains, and must fit certain limits on saturated fat, sodium, and added sugars. The rule limits cereals, for example, to no more than 2.5 grams of sugar per serving in order to be labeled healthy. A restriction food manufacturers claim would exclude over 95% of ready-to-eat cereals. Holy shit, yes. What? Which is great. That is good news. That's huge. It's about fucking time. I couldn't tell you the amount of people that for some reason are brainwashed into believing these fucking labels that their goddamn Frosted Flakes or whatever are healthy for them. It's nuts. That is long overdue. Among the most vocal food companies are producers of high-sugar cereals which are largely marketed to children and have been criticized as a driver of the obesity epidemic in America. Because they are. In a joint filing made last month, the largest cereal producers in the country, General Mills, Kellogg's, and post-consumer brands, decried the proposed nutritional criteria and threatened to file a lawsuit challenging the guidelines as a violation of corporate free speech rights. You absolute slimy worms. Corporate free speech rights to lie to consumers. We have a right to say whatever we want to sell our product. And how dare you try and strip that from us, even though it's a blatant lie. Most cereal, like Captain Crunch, Frosted Flakes, Lucky Charms, Fruity Pebbles, are not healthy. And that it's a complete fucking sham and a joke that some of those boxes have that term plastered on there. In the cereal industry, the word healthy has less meaning than the word literally. It is completely devalued because they've been able to skirt these guidelines and get away with labeling things like fucking Lucky Charms as healthy when it's not. It's there for one purpose and one purpose only: to mislead customers into thinking that what they're purchasing isn't bad for them. Even though it's nothing but a giant fucking sugar bomb. You're purchasing just a ton of sugar, and for some reason they've been able to call it healthy for a long time now. It's very deceptive. It's literally just false advertisement. And I don't think that's slanderous to say. I don't know if General Mills and Kellogg's are watching this, but I don't think that's slanderous. There is tons and tons of research to indicate the role that high sugar shit like cereal plays a massive role in the obesity epidemic that America's been experiencing for quite some time now. And finally, the FDA is doing something worthwhile of stepping in and saying, it's about time we restrict this a little bit more. You can't just slap healthy on anything you want to willy-nilly. We're going to stop being so loosey-goosey with healthy. From now on, it's going to need to adhere to stricter guidelines. I'm actually surprised they didn't double down. Instead of calling their foods healthy, I'm surprised they didn't try and say, like, doctor recommended Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Number one pediatrician recommended Fruity Pebbles. Like, really go hog wild on trying to mislead people into thinking it's good for you. They did go hard on fortified for a while, saying it's fortified with crucial vitamins and minerals and all that. But I feel like they could have gone even more hog wild with it. What about protein cereals that cost like $8 a box? You're getting into these really fringe cereals I don't know about. I can't tell you which are healthy and what aren't of the ones you're listing. All I'm saying is I'm agreeing that 95% of these cereals would absolutely be wiped from the healthy label because they're not. Like, they're straight up not. The sugar that's present there isn't like natural sugars either most of the time. So you can't even make it the argument that, like, oh no, but what about the cereal with 30 grams of sugar, but it's all healthy sugars? Because that's never the case. The rule, if finalized in its present form, the companies wrote, would be open to legal challenge in that it violates the First Amendment by prohibiting truthful, non-misleading claims in an unjustified manner and also exceeds FDA's statutory authority in several ways. It's so frightening that corporations can bully an organization whose sole goal should be the safety of the products that we consume on a daily basis. Prohibiting truthful, non-misleading claims, but that is the exact opposite of what these claims are. Slapping healthy on Fruity Pebbles is an affront to God. The organization contend that the healthy labeling requirements are an unconstitutional overreach of government power. Food companies, the Washington Legal Foundation argued, have constitutionally protected commercial speech rights covering their ability to use the term healthy to describe their added sugar products. This is terrifying. This is just scary. What the fuck? Nobody should want a world where corporations can pull claims out of their ass without ever having to prove them or verify their authenticity or ensure that the claims are truthful. That is a horrifying world. They could literally be boxing up poison and selling it to you with a smile on their face and with the word healthy slapped on the box, and nothing would be done about it. They are fighting tooth and nail to defend their right to literally fucking lie to customers about how healthy their foods are. They are not, by any stretch of imagination, by any definition, healthy. And yet they've been able to get away with using that term for so long that they refuse to let it go. They become so accustomed to lying to their consumers that they are now throwing this massive public hissy fit, this legal battle. The FDA, the Washington Legal Foundation, wrote in its brief, cannot explain why consumers cannot make their own healthy decisions based on nutritional labeling data. Rather, it seeks to limit the food company's speech. Oh my god, it's like listening to someone cry victim on Twitter, but from a corporation. What are you talking about, man? You're just blatantly lying on your products. Obesity's on like an absolute astronomical come up, and you're slapping healthy on some of the foods that are a big contributor of it. What are you talking about? The group does not disclose its donors and did not respond to a request for comment. In previous years, the Corn Refiners Association, a lobby group that represents the high fructose corn syrup industry, has disclosed financial ties to the Washington Legal Foundation. Can't believe that. Drug companies including Purdue Pharma, the makers of OxyContin, have used the Washington Legal Foundation to challenge government rules and establish legal precedent to reduce the ability for prosecutors to seek criminal charges for drug company executives. You love a story with some heroes you can root for, like the Washington Legal Foundation fighting for the little guys, like drug company executives. The joint filing from cereal manufacturers not only scorn the labeling rules, but also argue that sugary cereals pose no health risks and are in fact beneficial to society and childhood health. Love that. What a great claim. The company stated that they view the extremely strict guidelines as alarming because cereal is one of the most affordable, nutrient-dense breakfast choices a person, adult, or child can make, with a wide range of options to suit different cultures, preferences, and tastes. Cereals, the companies claimed, are already recognized for nutritional benefits, given their inclusion in a range of federal programs that serve the nation's vulnerable populations, such as the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, and the National School Lunch Program. This is so foul. It's candy in the morning. It is literally candy in the morning. And yet they're here with a straight face saying that it's nutrient dense. Well, it is one of the most nutrient dense breakfast choices a person, adult, or child can make. and saying that it poses no health risks and is actually beneficial to society and childhood health. That is so crazy. That is so crazy. Next, they're going to argue nutritional facts are unconstitutional. Yeah, we shouldn't have to say what's in our cereals. We shouldn't have to say what's in our food. It's to protect our right to privacy. Oh man, this is so fucked. How does this just keep getting worse? The company's charged that cereal delivers on nutrition when eaten alone, but when consumed as part of a breakfast, it elevates the nutrition further, with cereal eaters exhibiting an overall higher diet quality. As evidence, the filings cites a 2019 study conducted by in-house researchers employed by General Mills, the maker of Lucky Charms, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and Trix, among other brands. They're doing it again, right in front of our face. Do you guys remember? And I've talked about it a lot, but some of you might also remember. There was a period of time, not that long ago, like 25, 30-ish years ago, where the entire America, all of America, vilified fat. They said the fat in our food is making us fat. This is why we're getting obese, because of fat in our food. And sugar was actually looked at as the good guy. Those studies were paid for by companies like this that were trying to placate their responsibility for the contribution they played to the obesity epidemic and put all of it on top of fat. And they're doing it again right here in 2019, trying to make arguments that eating cereal actually helps eaters exhibit an overall higher diet quality, I guess. That's so crazy. The agency, they wrote, should recognize the beneficial role of sugar. Sugar plays a role in foods beyond palatability. It controls water activity, creates texture, adds bulk, and also contributes to flavor complexity. We are literally going back in time. Literally going back in time. They're trying to make sugar a hero again. Sugar is actually really good for you. It is healthy to eat 30 grams of sugar in the morning with our cereal. Independent research, however, have found that diets high in processed foods and sugar intake are linked to obesity, diabetes, higher risk of stroke, obesity-related cancers, hypertension, and dental diseases. You don't say. You're telling me that the research that wasn't paid for by the actual sugar-producing cereal company said something totally different? That I just can't believe. I think at this point it's safe to say Activision Blizzard is the most evil video game company ever. And not because their games are shitty, you know, they made Overwatch and that's a crime against humanity, sure. But a couple months ago, it was revealed of the horrifying workplace culture and the absolutely revolting things that happened there, including rapes, sexual assaults, and a suicide, which was directly attributed to the employees sharing nudes of that individual around the office. A whole multitude of disturbing, awful things. But somehow all of that was just the tip of the diarrhea iceberg, just a little appetizer, a small hors d'oeuvre to hold you over for the main course, which dropped yesterday. Yesterday, a huge piece was published revealing even more shocking information, and it even puts the crosshairs right on the tiny micro-penis of Bobby Kotick, Activision CEO. It alleges that Big Bobby Kotick not only knew about all the awful shit going on at Activision, but also played a role in it, and did his best to keep it under wraps and away from the board of directors. Now I know what you're thinking, Charlie, there's no fucking way this is true. Not Saint Bobby Kotick, he wouldn't do something like this. That man is an angel, a gift from God to gamers. And I understand where you're coming from, because when these allegations first came to light a few months ago, Bobby Kotick delivered one of the most powerful speeches America's ever heard, up there with the greats like JFK's "We choose to go to the moon" speech.
There's an article today that paints an inaccurate and misleading view of our company, of me personally, and my leadership. Anyone who doubts my conviction to be the most welcoming and inclusive workplace doesn't really appreciate how important this is to me.
God damn, he's charming. Such a beautiful way with words. The way he's able to just expertly dismiss everything as being wrong and misleading or out of context. Oh, expertly done. Truly immaculate stuff. Not the best apology video ever. I mean, I think it would have been better if he just went on camera and showed his asshole, just goatsied himself. It would have been just about as effective as this speech he gave here. It's pathetic, and how anyone ever believed for even a second that Bobby Kotick didn't know what was going on at the company is beyond me. You have to be delusional to think that his hands were ever clean in this situation, but now there's mountains and mountains of evidence that link him to these allegations. Just to give you a small taste of one that I just learned about, in 2006 he threatened to have his assistant killed. Like, goddamn, Bobby Kotick has truly become like a raid boss in a Blizzard game. He is going full fucking supervillain mode here. Now, before I really dive into all the evil shit that was recently revealed here, there is one group of people that I'd like to extend a sincere I'm sorry to, just a real heartfelt apology to. And that's to all the Blizzard fans out there, the fanboys that are huffing dangerous amounts of copium. My heart breaks for you. It's been a rough year to be a Blizzard fan. Ever since I made my video talking about the Activision Blizzard situation, I've been attacked on my Twitch streams about it from people that are doing their best to minimize the situation and justify certain things. It's tough to be not only a fan of Blizzard, but then also act as their PR and fight their battles online just because you like World of Warcraft. It's just people that are fans of their property that are just fighting tooth and nail to try and explain why women needed to be sexually harassed at the company in order for World of Warcraft to be good. It's just, I know it's rough. You put a lot of countless hours into defending them for no fucking reason. And I just want to say it's going to be really hard this time around with this new one. Now, I finished reading the article, but it's locked behind a paywall, and I'm not brave enough to like take screenshots of it for a YouTube video. So instead, I'm just going to show you screenshots from someone else's YouTube video who also makes a really good breakdown of it all. So I'm going to show you that for the important bits that I'd like to talk about. So right away within the first paragraph, you already can see how heavy this gets. A lawyer for a former employee at Sledgehammer Games, which is an Activision-owned studio, alleged in an email that her client had been raped in 2016 and 2017 by her male supervisor after she had been pressured to consume too much alcohol in the office and at work events. Now, previously on Dragon Ball Z, with the first document that came out with all of the allegations, it painted Activision Blizzard's workplace environment like a fucking dirty frat house. They were apparently always partying and drinking at the office. It made it sound like they were doing keg stands and boofing Bud Light in the bathtub, fucking butt-chugging competitions. They even had something called, like, the Epstein Room. Like, it was fucked up. So, apparently alcohol was just so big at the Activision workplace. Now, to continue and summarize, the female employee reported these incidents to Sledgehammer's HR department, but nothing happened, and then eventually threatened a lawsuit against the company. Within months of receiving that email, Activision reached an out-of-court settlement with the woman, who had also reported one of the incidents to the police. Mr. Kotick didn't inform the company's board of directors about the alleged rapes or the settlement, at least according to people with knowledge of the board. An absolutely gross situation here, made even more despicable by the fact that no matter what she did, she couldn't get help from the company. This is also extremely important because this shows that it wasn't just isolated to the Blizzard insane asylum. It wasn't just fucking Blizzard over there where all the bad shit was happening, like a lot of people were saying, like, oh, Activision's fine, it was just those Blizzard hooligans going wild. No, Activision's great, it just Blizzard was being naughty. This is clearly much more than just Blizzard. This is full-on Activision has a problem. This is Sledgehammer Games, which is an Activision-owned company. It is not associated with Blizzard. These are two separate departments, so clearly this stretches beyond just Blizzard. And this woman couldn't get any help, and the only thing that she did get was an out-of-court settlement, and Bobby Kotick doing his best to pretend it never happened and keep it away from his board of directors. Truly disgusting. It goes on to say that there are documents, memos, emails, regulatory requests, and interviews which show that he knew about the allegations of employee misconduct in many parts of the company and didn't inform the board of directors about everything he knew. He just kept all of it under wraps the best he could in order to try and prevent it from becoming a more public-facing issue. It then says Mr. Kotick has been subpoenaed in the Securities and Exchange Commission investigation. They're looking into what he knew about the alleged incidents and what he told other employees, the board of directors, and investors. Bobby's big brain strategy to handle all of this was basically just closing his eyes and pretending it wasn't happening, even though he was fully aware of everything going on. Even when an employee took her own life due to coworkers sharing her nudes, nothing changed at the company. It continued to be this disgusting, toxic fucking cesspool of dog shit. Since the California lawsuit, Activision has received more than 500 reports from current and former employees alleging harassment, sexual assault, bullying, and pay disparities and other issues. This is also not surprising at all, and I imagine that number is only going to continue to grow. Towards the bottom of the page, there's another thing I'd like to mention here. In August, Activision named a longtime employee, Jennifer O'Neill, to be Blizzard's co-head. And then she shortly after resigned, stating it was clear that the company would never prioritize our people the right way. She also mentioned that she was also sexually harassed earlier in her career at Activision, and even recalled a party in 2007 with none other than the boogeyman Bobby Kotick there, where there were scantily clad women dancing on stripper poles and a DJ that was encouraging women to drink more so men could have a better time. It really does seem like any woman who walked through the Activision Blizzard doors wasn't leaving until she was sexually harassed or assaulted. It's like they weren't walking into work. They were walking into like an incel fan club. It's fucking crazy. All of these stories all have so much in common with each other, so it seems super normalized at Activision Blizzard. And again, they have done nothing over the years to fix it, except Bobby Kotick doing his best to sweep it under the rug. Now, there is a massive employee walkout happening right now at Activision Blizzard that is demanding that Bobby Kotick resign. Now, you'd think the board of directors would also be pissed at Bobby Kotick, considering he withheld crucial information from them, swept extremely important company problems under the rug, and didn't share any of this information with the board of directors. You'd think they'd be fucking fuming, literally pissing in their britches, ready to fucking blast him in the ass. But you'd be wrong, because the board of directors stands behind him 100%. They are literal cucks. Bobby Kotick is cucking his board, and they're totally fine with it. Here's their statement. The Activision Blizzard board remains committed to the goal of making Activision Blizzard the most welcoming and inclusive company in the industry. It is without a doubt the most welcoming company to sexual predators in the industry, so I guess they did succeed in this mission here. Under Bobby Kotick's leadership, the company is already implementing industry-leading changes, including a zero-tolerance harassment policy, a dedication to achieving significant increase to the percentage of women and non-binary people in our workforce, and significant internal and external investments to accelerate opportunities for diverse talent. I love how they really parade around this new zero-tolerance policy they've implemented as if it's some kind of, innovative new idea and revolutionary, never been done before. Oh, you're finally going to stop letting employees sexually harass and sexually assault other employees? Wow! 20 years later, oh my god, you guys are fucking heroes. Whoa, you're really breaking new ground. It's never been done before. You're not going to allow them to sexually assault each other? Oh my god, how, are you sure? They then go on to state that they're hiring more women and more non-binary people in their workforce in order to improve the amount of diverse talent that they have. But what does that have to do with anything here? Like, why does this seem like a good thing to them? Like, after all of these women have come forward about how awful they were treated at the company, this honestly just sounds like more of a threat. Like, hey, Activision Blizzard is hiring more women. Come on, ladies, so we can grope you. We need some fresh meat to sexually harass over here at Activision Blizzard. Hiring more women. Don't forget, ladies, come on in. Like, this makes no sense. Like, there's no one that's going to read this after all of these things came out about all of these women who have been sexually assaulted at that company and, like, start pumping their fists like, oh, good, this company's hiring. I can't wait to apply. And I love this last sentence here, a nice little cherry on top of the poopy cake. The board remains confident that Bobby Kotick appropriately addressed workplace issues brought to his attention when it was revealed over a lot of multiple sources that he withheld all of the information from this very board that is now sucking his small cock. Oh my god, that just feels amazing to read. They're actual cucks. The goals we have set for ourselves are both critical and ambitious. The board remains confident in Bobby Kotick's leadership, commitment, and ability to achieve these goals. Oh yes, Bobby Senpai, lead us to more money, please! As you can see, the board of directors here at Activision Blizzard's pretty fucking stupid. Like, they're pretty dumb. And let's just go ahead and take a peek at their stock market prices. Let's see how they're doing today. It's been about 24 hours. I mean, I wonder if they even took a real hit from this. Ooh, that's stinky. Wow, look at that. On November 16th, you can really see that drop. Man, look at that. That's that Bobby Kotick leadership coming into play right there. Oh, goodness me. Surely it won't keep dropping, right? Like, oh my, that wouldn't make any sense. I mean, they're 100 and something employees are already walking out. I mean, that's all spelling like nothing but success for Activision Blizzard. And the way they're handling this situation is remarkable. They're doing everything right. Yeah, it feels good to look at that chart there. Hopefully, it'll be even lower tomorrow and continues to plummet until Bobby Kotick resigns. He is a genuine problem and a horrible, horrible leader. That company has experienced so much terrible shit that was brushed under the rug for way, way, way too long. And I'm super happy to see all of it being brought to the public attention now. Like I said, it's the easiest boycott in the world not to buy Blizzard games because they don't make anything good at all. And that extends to Activision as well. I already regretted buying Call of Duty Vanguard, and I regret it 20 times more now than I did having played through that insufferable shit experience. It's just it's awful. And I don't know how people can continue to defend this company. I understand if you like their games, you don't want to recognize how awful the people behind the games are, but Jesus Christ, at least stop trying to defend it and make excuses for them. They're not paying you to be their damage control or their PR, so stop doing it. It's just, this is awful, indefensible stuff, and I really do hope for a good conclusion for everyone that was involved in this situation and all of the victims at Activision Blizzard. I wish them the best. It's, yeah, that's about it. So, yeah. There's no shortage of horrible companies in the video game industry, but there's one that's been able to fly under the radar for way too long now, even though it's just as slimy and scummy as some of the more mainstream ones people like to spit on, and that's Nexon. You've probably heard of them because of MapleStory. That's by far their biggest game, their magnum opus, the cash cow that they're addicted to milking, and for a long time now they've been able to tiptoe around in the shadows, hiding their stink from the public nostrils. But last month, they flew a little too close to the sun, and we could start to smell their odor. And I swear to God, it smelled like shit. About a month ago, they decided to start bullying a smaller developer named Iron Mace, who's working on a game that I am a massive fan of called Dark and Darker. I've played every playtest so far, and I have been absolutely loving it. But love is a concept that doesn't exist at Nexon. Only cold, hard dollar bills that they were missing out on. They're like the Mr. Krabs of video games. So they started to put Iron Mace in their crosshairs, claiming that the Dark and Darker developers stole from Nexon. They said that not only did they steal code from an unreleased project at Nexon called P3, they stole assets from that project. And basically the claims boiled down to there was an employee at Nexon back in 2021 who was working on a project called P3 that is similar to Dark and Darker. That employee apparently was talking about like leaving and starting their own company, kind of expanding upon this P3 idea. He ended up being fired, and then, fast forward to late 2022, we have Dark and Darker, which bears some resemblance to that P3 project. So Nexon is claiming that they stole from them, citing assets and code that was ripped directly from that unreleased project, as well as idea theft, saying that this was a Nexon idea and thus they don't really have the right to use it. Which is why that title is You Can't Copyright a Game Genre, because this is an extraction style game. It's a genre that's well established. The only spin on it is instead of being guns like Tarkov, it's medieval weaponry, and it fucking bangs. This shit fucks. It is amazing. I love Dark and Darker. And unfortunately now, Nexon has gone so far as to issue a police raid on their studio headquarters, and as I understand it, they didn't find anything there. They reassured fans that it was quick and nothing was found, and there will be no delay in development and nothing to worry about. So I'm guessing they went there and got a giant fucking nothing sandwich served to them. There was, I suppose, no stolen code, no hidden secret documents from Nexon, no Krabby Patty secret formula, just some hardworking developers and their project. But that's not where this story stops. In fact, today, this is why we're talking about it, today Nexon has once again escalated this conflict and issued a full-blown cease and desist to Dark and Darker, which has led to it being pulled from Steam. So effectively shut down for the time being, all based on these claims that it was stolen from them. Of course, Iron Mace denies all the allegations, saying that Dark and Darker's code was built from scratch and its assets were either purchased from the Unreal Marketplace or designed internally. And if you've played Dark and Darker, you're going to notice like half of the assets in this game come from the Unreal Marketplace. I play a lot of shit on Steam new releases, and I can recognize half of the models in Dark and Darker from all of the other games I've played. And that's not a problem. The assets are there for a reason. Plus, it's still like in very early playtesting stages, so of course they're going to be using assets. I don't know what fucking assets they're even claiming are stolen from Nexon unless Nexon like has some kind of monopoly on the Unreal marketplace where it's all their assets. They're like the kingpin and their drug empire is the Unreal marketplace. It just doesn't make any sense because, again, half or even maybe more than half of Dark and Darker uses just standard store-bought Unreal assets. So to me, the claim is extremely confusing. Like, I don't even feel like Phoenix Wright could make an argument that some of these assets are stolen from Nexon's unreleased P3 project because, again, so much of Dark and Darker is Unreal assets. Like, I can't imagine them being like, oh my god, that rock that's in the middle of that prison cell is actually from P3. I'd recognize it anywhere. That is a distinct rock that was developed in-house at Nexon. It's our pride and joy. Oh my god, and that chalice that players can collect, that golden goblet of fire, that was from Nexon. You've stolen it from us. Like, I don't know where there's even wiggle room for them to make claims that some of these assets were stolen because so much is from fucking Unreal assets. But regardless, moving forward, Iron Mace developers have of course made a statement about this whole thing. They've said, to all our fans, we have recently been served a cease and desist letter and DMC takedown by Nexon regarding Dark and Darker based on distorted claims. We are currently working with our legal team to remedy this issue in the best manner possible. Due to the sensitive legal nature of this issue, we must be careful with our statements so as to not jeopardize our position. We ask for your understanding as we work to get the game back up as quickly as possible. Please know that we will do all that is possible for our fans. Thanks. A very sweet message. Throughout this entire discourse, Iron Mace has seemed extremely professional. I just want to point that out. They have seemed like absolute sweethearts here in the face of bullshit. This, to me, I'll break this down and give my whole perspective on this after researching all of it. This, to me, feels like Nexon bullying a smaller company because they feel like they've missed out on a golden goose here, because Dark and Darker has become extremely popular, and they did have an idea that was similar to it called P3. P3 never got off the ground, Dark and Darker did. This really feels like it's almost some level of vengeance and spite against Dark and Darker's success. Nexon has hundreds and millions of dollars they can throw into the shitter at this and completely bleed Iron Mace dry since they are a smaller company and they're going to fight this legal battle tooth and nail, it seems, which is extremely upsetting considering these claims aren't 100% proven to be accurate anyway. In fact, at least according to Police Raid, they didn't even find any evidence to support the claims, but yet they've still managed to DMCA cease and desist this game and get it removed from Steam. And now Iron Mace is going to have to engage in a lengthy and very expensive legal battle with this absolute titan of douchebaggery. Nexon is just an absolute trash company, and even if every single one of their claims is accurate, 100% truthful, they're still a horrible, garbage piece of shit company regardless, even from everything outside of Dark and Darker. Even before this, they've been a terrible company, but this especially. And I'll go a step further. Maybe we're getting into dicey, spicy territory here, but I'm just gonna say it with my whole chest. If all of Nexon's claims are accurate, Dark and Darker did take that idea from Nexon and build upon it, and even if they used a couple of assets that they developed while working at Nexon, I don't give a fuck. In fact, I view them more as heroes. I respect them more if they did that, because Nexon can suck the dirtiest part of my asshole. I cannot stand that company. I think that would be great if that really was the case. I don't think the Nexon Corporation should have the legal right to have this stranglehold on a video game idea that they didn't even make themselves. This idea was cooked up by the creative minds that were let go from Nexon in the first place. Thus, since they're no longer at Nexon, I feel they should be able to explore that idea and build upon it privately in their own way at their own studio, even though that idea was something they may have had while working elsewhere. They are no longer working there, that company is no longer working on that project, thus the team that actually made the idea and the prototypes should be able to take that work and build upon it on their own. I don't know if that's a hot take, but again, assuming every claim from Nexon is accurate, even still, it makes it clear that the idea and the work was done by employees that were let go from Nexon. Thus, it shouldn't be their idea anymore, Nexon's idea. It should be the individual's idea who actually came up with it in the first place. Thus, I feel like they should have the right to continue to work on it if they choose to. But again, it's important to reiterate that as of right now, there's still no real hard evidence against Iron Mace. Nothing that's really supporting Nexon's big claims of stolen code, stolen assets, and shit like that. So we're just gonna have to wait to see how all this unfolds, but it's really disappointing to see that Dark and Darker is no longer up on Steam because another playtest was right around the corner that I was extremely excited for, as were a lot of people. So hopefully this situation can get resolved pretty quickly. That's about it. So yeah. Are you a gamer? Me too. And as a gamer, I have intricate, deep knowledge of all of our strengths and weaknesses. And no matter how hard you work, there will always be one weakness that I'm going to exploit right now. A single word that can induce vomiting in even the strongest, most seasoned of gaming barbarians. And that word is Fextra Life. It was tough even getting that one out. If you've ever played a new game, you've probably Googled something about it, and among the first links on the search results is Fextra Life. And it is such a scourge. Nobody goes to Fextra Life on purpose. It's like falling into the back rooms. It's this thing that unfortunately happens all too often when a new game comes out and you want some information or a guide on it, so you just Google it, and you click the first link, and all of a sudden you accidentally just paid a visit to Fextra Life. And it is such a tragic betrayal. It feels worse than finding out your partner's cheated on you. Fextra Life is a wiki on pretty much anything new that's come out, but they also indulge in some very shady practices that I want to talk about today. But just to talk about the website itself, I and very many others are not huge fans of this site. I personally have never really found anything of value there. It really seems like Fextra Life is so consumed with the idea of being first to guides on games that they don't bother to make sure that it's right or good. So if you go to like the Elden Ring section on Fextra Life, and trust me, I did when the game was still new and I was looking things up, some of what they presented there was just legitimately wrong or incomplete. So you just get like halfway through and it's like, okay, what now? Oh, it's not here on Fextra Life. Because it seems like all they care about is just being first and taking advantage of that wave of new people that are just really trying to get information. You would honestly have better luck finding quality guides in a YouTube comment section than on Fextra Life. So I don't really like this site that much, but that's not even what we're here to talk about. It just being a subpar wiki site isn't exactly the most interesting topic. I'd like to speak about the slimier, greasier side of this organization, because they're no stranger to scandals here. They see controversy and they fucking tap dance on it. They go a bit wacko mode. They have, for many years, been accused of certain things on Reddit, the land of the updoots, most recently with Baldur's Gate 3. They have actually just been blacklisted from a subreddit called Baldur's Gate 3 Builds because they were suspected of vote manipulation, downvoting links to the community wiki, and using bots to keep Fextra Life on top while throwing more things that compete with them into the garbage, flushing that shit right down the toilet. And this isn't the first time they've been accused of using bots for similar purposes. A while back, the Dark Souls community also had some very strong accusations against Fextra Life for other manipulative tactics used by them on the community posts and subreddit. So Fextra Life is just negatively viewed by pretty much everyone, even outside of just the quality of their wiki pages, also heavily criticized for the way they conduct themselves and the way they try and keep Fextra Life on top, artificially, supposedly. Now, the Fextra Life owner has responded to all of the conversation and hoopla going on right now about them. The biggest one, and the one that I'm mainly going to be focused on, is the cooking of the books with their Twitch numbers. That's a big topic that's been around for many years, and they do talk about this here. But just to piggyback on the back of this Reddit accusation, they're coming forward and saying that, nope, that's a bunch of horseradish. Not real, not true, that's not us. We didn't use bots, and in fact, they even said, I didn't know Reddit bots were a thing, which is complete hogwash. What do you mean you didn't know Reddit bots were a thing? Yes, you did. Everybody knows that. It's totally fine to come defend yourself against the accusations and point out, logical inconsistencies or the evidence isn't strong enough. But why tell a bold-faced lie like that in your defense? I'm so innocent, I've never even heard of bots, I think you called them. The only bot I know is the Autobots. Like we don't even know what this is. We're so innocent. Like that's the weirdest defense attempt. Like why would you say that? Bots are a thing on every platform everywhere and everyone knows it. Bots are a thing on Twitch as well, which Fextra Life is no stranger to since Fextra Life is basically botting all of their Twitch viewer numbers thanks to their embedding video practice that they use. I'm sure bots isn't the preferred nomenclature for Fextra Life when it comes to their viewer numbers. They might use something a little more bubbly, a little more PR friendly, like less than sentient spectators, or perhaps blissfully unaware viewers of the Fextra Life stream. But this has been a controversial hot topic for quite a few years now. This comes up at least once or twice a year. If you have ever gone on Twitch during a new big game release, within the first or second on that page is Fextra Life. They have like an average of 30k viewers when a game is new, and if they're playing an older game, they'll still average like 10k plus. But if you ever click on their stream, you're gonna smell something a little fishy in there. It gets a bit stinky in the swamp because there is no chat activity. Maybe 2 or 3 people chatting to each other in a 30,000 person stream, which is very odd. 30k is huge. They are among one of the biggest channels when it comes to concurrent viewers, at least when new games are present, and no one's talking. 30,000 viewers on their stream, but their chat is a goddamn ghost town. It's an absolute barren wasteland. You'd find more life in Chernobyl than you would in a Fextra Life 30,000 plus viewer stream. So how is that possible? It has to do with a very controversial practice they engage in called embedding, where they embed their Twitch stream on their wiki site. And not just on the front page, on every single page of their site. So let's say you open the Elden Ring Fextra Life page. You'll see that the stream is in the top left. They're currently offline as of me making this video, but when they're online, it would be right there. And now let's say you want to go deeper, you're looking at like build guides or something. If you go to one of those pages, the stream is also embedded there. It's on every single page of Fextra Life, their stream is embedded, meaning no matter where you go, you will count as a viewer for their Twitch stream.
Sitting here, 30,000 viewers. The chat slower than fucking a 200 viewer streamer. This is pathetic. Twitch doesn't give a fuck, yeah. And that's the thing, is like, how are we really gonna get mad at them? They're just playing the game. They're not breaking any rules. So as you can see right here, inside of their wiki here, they have the stream embedded in this tiny little box. And this tiny little box here is why they have 31,000 viewers.
Now, I have seen conflicting reports where if you open multiple Fextra Life tabs, you will count as multiple viewers since it's embedded on each one, but I haven't seen like 100% concrete confirmation that that's how Twitch would calculate that, but there is a bit of evidence to suggest that it might. So I just want to put that out there as a possibility. Take it with a grain of salt. That is something that's been being discussed as well, because since it is embedded on every page, a lot of people like me open many tabs, so I might have like 3 different Fextra Life tabs open, and that's 3 different embed sources. So I guess it could count as 3, but again, I'm not sure 100% if that's true. But what is true is you do count as a viewer when you are on Fextra Life, no matter what page you're on. You are absolutely not watching the stream. I have no doubt there is literally 0 sentient human beings with a fucking pulse that are watching the Fextra Life stream on the Fextra Life website, because it's a tiny little box that just hides away in the top left, and no one's going to be watching it on that. It'd be like watching it on a Game Boy Color. Like, it's fucking worthless. No one's doing that. It's there just to gamify those numbers and pump that shit up. Like, absolutely skyrocket their viewership numbers on Twitch while adding no real organic viewers to it, and obviously no one in the chat. Now, another thing, most people, like me, will keep these tabs open for a long period of time. So even if Fextra Life's offline right now, if I just keep this tab open, when they go online, I'm counted as a viewer even if I'm not home. Like, even if I forget the tab's open, I'm still counted in their viewership numbers. And to prove just how prevalent this is with viewers that are just accidentally watching Fextra Life because they have the tab open somewhere, a streamer named Quinn went into their offline stream after Fextra Life had concluded and just did a command that showed how many viewers were still there even though the stream wasn't going on. Now, this is something that does exist on normal Twitch streams with normal people watching them. there is something called like an offline community where if a streamer goes offline, there's pockets of people that'll hang around and just talk to each other in the offline chat, but not very many. It's a small number compared to the overall viewership. But for Fextra Life, it's almost their entire fucking viewership is still in their stream even when they're offline. Meaning, it's just people that have a Fextra Life wiki tab opened somewhere, not actually a viewer of their stream.
Surely my anguish and despair will ring on someone's ear.
23,000 current chatters. Okay, dude. All right. I'm a day streamer, boys. I guess this is what a 23,000 person chat looks like, guys. It's not a... You're disgusting! If you insinuate that there's not 23,642 people right here, right now. You are fucking disgusting for implying that these are view bots and they're not actually there. Okay? Literally 23,000 people in this offline chat. Come on.
Yeah, it's pretty outrageous. So the offline chat was over 23,000 current chatters. So meaning that's 23,000 people in the stream right there, and not a single message. And also, there's no such thing as an offline chat that has 23,000 people in it. Not even the biggest streamers in the world have anywhere close to that as an offline chat number. That is people that are just on the Fextra Life wiki with tabs open. They're not actually watching the Fextra Life streams. It's fucking ridiculous. Now, it is important to note, Fextra Life is not the only stream that takes advantage of this embed protocol. Like, they're not the only ones that employ this tactic, but they are the ones that are the most egregious because they paste it on every single page on their wiki, and there's tons of pages you can't avoid it. And obviously, whatever they're streaming isn't going to be relevant to every single page on their wiki site. It's people that aren't actually watching the stream. It is no different, really, than viewbotting, which is an argument people have been making for years. And naturally, this discussion always inevitably ends up with asking the question, why doesn't Twitch stop it? And the answer's super simple. Why the fuck would they? This only helps Twitch. These big numbers are great for Twitch. This looks fantastic for them. There is no downside to allowing streamers to embed their streams everywhere else. It's a free advertisement for Twitch, free numbers that help everything on their platform. Like, Twitch has no incentive to shut that down at all. Even though it's very clear that 23,642 people aren't actually in the Fextra Life offline chat or watching their streams, it doesn't matter, because it only serves to help Twitch. So why would they put the kibosh on something like that? They allow it, and Fextra Life isn't breaking any rules. A lot of people have said, don't hate the player, hate the game, and they're kind of right. Fextra Life is not breaking any rules. They are legally viewbotting their streams, and have been for a very long time, proudly. So, this has obviously been controversial for a while, because, as you might imagine, this doesn't help other streamers, because Fextra Life will always take either the number 1 spot or the number 2 spot in a brand new game release, and they're not actually having people watch them. It's fake, phony numbers because of the way they embed their streams on their site. So it takes those spots away from streamers that deserve it more, who actually do have communities that watch their streams. They no longer have those slots that Fextra Life takes up. So obviously it makes a lot of streamers, when a new game comes out, mad because they can't compete with Fextra Life viewbotting, fundamentally. It's been that way for a long time, and I don't see it changing, but a lot of people are talking about it again, so I thought it'd be an interesting topic to discuss again, especially considering this time around the owner has spoken about it. So this is their response to all of the viewbotting allegations. They state that a viewbot is when you use artificial and non-existing browsers to inflate views on Twitch, and that does try to fool advertisers because A, it plays an ad, and B, nobody is watching. Real quick before continuing, they're getting a bit lost in semantics here as opposed to making real arguments on how what they're doing is different. Fextra Life streams often have sponsors, and sometimes very big sponsors. I imagine they sell their streams with their concurrent viewer average, which is like between 10 and 30,000 viewers. It's huge. But most companies probably aren't going to really look into that, so they're going to assume their ad is being seen by 10 to 30,000 people. It's not. As is very clearly illustrated, 23,000 of those people aren't actually even in the stream. they're on Fextra Life with the stream pulled up muted in some tab, not even aware that it's going on. So these companies aren't actually getting their ads placed in front of 30,000 viewers. They're getting it placed in front of, I have no idea, maybe a few hundred, maybe 1,000. There's really no way of knowing, because there's no real activity in their stream to judge it on or anything remotely like that. So it really isn't different than a view bot. When you do play an ad on Fextra Life, nobody is watching. Same way as if you would play an ad during a stream that is just completely view botted in the traditional sense. Nobody is watching the Fextra Life ad that the company has paid for, even though there's 30,000 viewers. I would love to see the back end of a return on a Fextra Life sponsorship, because I imagine it has to be unbelievably low since most of the viewers are from the embedded Twitch streams. So it is misleading to advertisers, which is another criticism a lot of people have put forth. And I think it's very valid to say that, because again, most of the viewers are not actually watching the Fextra Life stream. They then say embedding is an advertisement of the stream to real people on real browsers on an external website. Like any integration, the objective is to get people to click and go to Twitch. No advertisements are played on the embedded unit, generating zero revenue. Embeds are part of the intended code of Twitch and are intentional features that anyone can use, and many content creators besides us do. These are real people that we have worked tirelessly to build up into our community. What community? You tirelessly built up an imaginary community. The Fextra Life community you refer to is more made up than the Tooth Fairy. There is nobody in your Twitch streams. Nobody. Like, I can't tell if they're being intentionally delusional here, or if they actually think that what they're doing is somehow totally, the same as just building up a normal community. It's not. Your embedded Twitch streams are not driving your Fextra Life wiki readers to your Twitch stream. There is no call to action to it that I've ever seen. It just automatically is playing whenever you're on any page on Fextra Life. How the fuck can you possibly make an argument saying that what you're doing is just an advertisement to get those people on your wiki to the streams? Because it's not. The streams aren't even relevant to what your readers are reading. What's being streamed is completely separate from whatever they're on your site to read about. There's no chance that the two could even connect most of the time, unless of course it is a new release like Armored Core. Then I'm sure there is some crossover where someone went to Armored Core, Fextra Life, got some bad information, but saw you were streaming and was like, okay, maybe I'll check it out. That's possible, but that's clearly not the goal. If that was the goal, you would only embed your streams on the newest releases because they'd be relevant to each other, as opposed to just having it embedded on every single page where it makes no sense. Why would an Armored Core 6 Fextra Life stream be playing on my Dark Souls 3 Fextra Life wiki? And how the fuck would you possibly think that I'm on Dark Souls 3 wiki but might want to watch Fextra Life streaming Armored Core 6? It's just, that is a nonsensical statement to try and say that your embeds are only there to try and get people from your actual wiki to your streams. That's not the goal. The goal is just to artificially inflate your numbers because it's automatically playing and they count as viewers. What embedding does for me is make my website audience aware I'm a person, I'm streaming, and I can show them games that I think they'd be interested in. Again, that argument doesn't work when the website is all about game information. It's not a personality-driven site. They're not going to Fextra Life hoping that they'll see that Fextra Life is also live on Twitch. They're going there because they're looking for guides and information on the game that they are currently playing. That doesn't make any sense. What embedding does for Twitch is give them free advertising for their platform and an ongoing conversion from our website to Twitch. These new people were not on Twitch otherwise, and they're still not on Twitch. They're not going there. They're not going to Twitch. You can tell because there's no one in your chat. I don't know why they keep trying to say that. Yes, it is a free advertisement for Twitch. It's free numbers for their metrics, absolutely. But they're not actually getting new people to Twitch that weren't already endemic to Twitch. They're not bringing new viewers there. They're just idly on the Fextra Life wiki and it counts as a view on Twitch. And then they say they hopefully come back and become part of the Twitch ecosystem. It doesn't happen. Our embed is by no means a secret. It's very visible. In fact, it's the best possible spot on our website, and there's even a command for it on our channel. And as part of the channel rules, the idea that it's a fraud is also absurd. Our sponsors are aware of the embed, and it's a great deal for them to be able to promote their content on both Twitch and to our site users at the same time, particularly in the prime location that the embed has on our website. So this is very interesting to me. The sponsors are aware of the embedding. That's great. Are they also aware that the vast majority of your Twitch metrics come from that embedding? And are they also aware that that means it's muted? That means that their sponsorship package, the ad read, all of it, the vast majority of those numbers that it's being put in front of aren't even aware it's going on because it's muted, and it's not visible. It's a very tiny box. Do the sponsors know that? I certainly hope so, because that would be very shady if you didn't make the sponsors aware that their ad read is going to be muted for the vast majority of the audience, and it's not going to be seen by them either because the box is too small and the viewers aren't actually on Twitch. I would hope you'd make them very well aware of all of the shortcomings of doing an ad with Fextra Life, since most of the viewer numbers come from a fucking tiny embed on a completely separate site that, again, is also muted. So hopefully you have made all of your partners aware of that. The owner does continue going on to other criticisms people have put forth against Fextra Life, such as like AI-driven content or it being lazy, stuff like that. But that wasn't the focus of what I wanted to talk about today. The statement is still very much up if you want to see how they defend themselves against other claims. But these were the main things I wanted to talk about in regards to this situation, because this is a conversation that comes up at least once or twice a year. And it is a very interesting one about embedding, viewbotting. It is an interesting topic that I just wanted to talk about a bit, since a lot of other people are also discussing it, and I think it's something worth going over. So that's really about it. So yeah. Ubisoft has to be one of the dumbest companies on the planet right now. Their stock has been in a free fall for quite some time, and their financial collapse is making Blockbuster blush. Everything they release flops and is received with a collective yawn from pretty much everyone on the planet. And even in the midst of all of this, Ubisoft just stealthily released an NFT game. This has to be part of some kind of grand humiliation ritual. I can't think of any possible explanation for this. Not only are they extremely tardy to the party, they missed that wave by a few years, but they didn't even have the fucking chutzpah to announce it to anyone, meaning nobody has even heard of it aside from just shooting spitballs at it right now. I can only find 2 gameplay videos from any human being that's even touched this game, and both of them have less than 5 views. Not even the most brainwashed, godforsaken crypto bro goobers are giving this the time of day. And I'm talking about those hopeless souls that are still huffing as much copium as their lungs can handle, preaching the gospel of how NFTs aren't dead and are actually overdue for a second coming. Not even that group is touching this. That's mind-boggling to me, because they are clapping seals that will hype up anything that even has the word blockchain or crypto in it, like with that Flappy Bird NFT scam from a couple months ago. They aren't even looking at this. Looks like every AI-generated ad from Facebook mobile games. There is nothing interesting about that. Nobody gives a fuck. I don't know why Ubisoft put any resources behind it. We need to have a team go out there and investigate what kind of fishy business is afoot at the Ubisoft headquarters. Someone must be pumping galaxy gas through the air vents or something that's turned them all fucking stupid over there. Like, what are they even thinking? What's next for Ubisoft? They're going to try and buy the Concord IP and re-release it as a Ubisoft original? Everything about this idea is terrible, and it gets even sillier when you take a deeper peek at it. So apparently the figurines that you saw battling there in epic combat swag style are NFTs that can be bought on the marketplace from anywhere between $7 and $64,000. If you spend $64,000 on a Ubisoft NFT, you go to hell immediately. The devil makes a special circle just for you. According to the studio director at Ubisoft Paris, the game offers deep strategic gameplay featuring unique in-game assets and several exciting innovations, comparing it to a physical trading card game. I highly doubt that. It looks like the biggest, quickest throwaway pump and dump I've ever seen for one of these crypto games. The team inside the Ubisoft Paris studio developing Champions Tactics Grimoria Chronicles partnered with Ubisoft Strategic Innovation Lab, Oases, to ensure that our use of blockchain was done in service of delivering new and innovative gaming experiences for our players. Our shared goal is to explore new ways to play alongside, bringing more value to players based on empowerment and ownership. Oh, fuck you. You can suck the dirtiest part of my butthole. The only way we could empower our players is by integrating the blockchain into it and charging up to $64,000 for some figurines in-game. This gives them a sense of accomplishment. Champions Tactics offers deep strategic gameplay featuring unique in-game assets, several exciting innovations. These include millions of procedurally generated figurines, each with distinct stats, assets shaped directly by players' choices, and an open marketplace letting players compose their teams on a peer-to-peer basis, much like a physical trading card game. Oh yeah, get excited, sports fans. Procedurally generated figurines. Yes, perfect. I can't wait to get a god roll on Berserker Knight with double D titties and a cigar, and with the gold mutagen. For months, we have collaborated closely with our community through events and beta phases to build and refine Champions Tactics. We're excited to keep expanding and enhancing the experience together. Ubisoft did not comment on the game's adults-only rating, presumably for its blockchain basis and use of cryptocurrency. Has a fucking adults-only rating? Jesus, it's just insult to injury. I love that they keep saying how excited they are and how amazing it is. Meanwhile, it was quietly released as hush-hush as possible. Yeah, nothing says excitement quite like trying to squeak out a silent fart and hope that no one's around to hear it, dropping this game and hoping nobody puts their eyes on it. Yeah, wow, they're so excited by it. I'd also totally forgotten about this little nugget of Ubisoft lore. In December of 2021, it launched its own NFT platform called Quartz, with Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint as the first game to offer a beta trial. It did not fare well, appearing to have initially only sold 15 NFTs. Jesus Christ, pictures of nutsacks were selling more NFT copies than that. Oh my lord, Ubisoft, how do you sleep at night? That is so embarrassing. And then, of course, they had the gall to blame players. Ubisoft's NFT bosses stated in an interview that players just don't get it. Yeah, it's the players who are wrong, not the soulless zombies at the top of the Ubisoft food chain. They're the guys who get it. We're all just a bunch of dumb, bumbling imbeciles who could never possibly understand the beauty and the innovation behind blockchain gaming and $64,000 NFT figurines. It is painfully obvious to see how Ubisoft continues to fail to such an absurd degree and just circle the shitter. As Ubisoft's money continues to dry up and they continue to scramble and panic internally, they continue to just do the same formula that got them into this pickle in the first place. Releasing bland, open-world games that's just the same exhausting, generic experience over and over again, like the Avatar game, like Star Wars Outlaws. And it's clear from the sales data, like Star Wars Outlaws underperforming so badly for them. Now, even when they do have like a good game that somehow falls between the cracks and they squeak it out from their butt cheeks, like the Prince of Persia game, they do nothing to support it. They just let it fly with no marketing budget behind it to fend for itself and die alone in the cold rain. And it's a shame. Ubisoft just can't grasp the simplest concept that if they start making good games, their stock price will go up. Their sales will go up. Instead of chasing these jackpots, these live service games or games that you can fucking squeeze every single person playing it for as much money as possible to try and get them all to empty their piggy bank and fucking mortgage their house to spend more money on your microtransactions. They should be chasing promising titles that people will be excited for. Nobody is excited for another open world Ubisoft game. Nobody is. Well, I mean, I'm exaggerating. Of course, there are people that like the comfort of like the same formula they're used to. It's cozy. And I'm not saying they're wrong for that, but as is pretty clear from the data, most people are exhausted with it and would rather have new things. So that's where the focus should be. Not NFT moonshots that they're fucking throwing out of nowhere like a jump scare. Not another like Call of Duty killer with X-Defiant. Even though I had fun with X-Defiant for like a week or two, it just wasn't a game that had any real staying power or any actual chance at encroaching on that market share that Call of Duty dominates. It couldn't compete with it. And it's still around, like it still does have a passionate community, but it's not a super home run for Ubisoft like I think they were banking on, because they put a lot of money behind pushing that. To me, and keep in mind, I am just a stupid Cro-Magnon, it seems like a simple solution. Start making good games again. Kind of as easy as that, I think. Simple. You just start making good games again. Give up on the open world live service games and shit like that. Just let it die. Give up on crypto games and the blockchain. You can't even get to the crypto bros who will actually eat any shit you feed them. You can't even get to them. You have no fucking shot. So stop spending money there with things like this new Grimoria Chronicle or whatever, and just start focusing on good games. Just fuck, it's not difficult. I mean, making a good game is difficult, but it's not difficult to pivot away from these $100 million budget titles that aren't giving you any returns. It should be a no-brainer to just wipe your ass with that, take a bath on it, and just instead focus on cheaper titles that could be really good. Right now, Ubisoft's strategy is literally, we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas. So here's an NFT game, please, some whales, spend money on it, we're begging. Oh my god, it is sickening how stupid Ubisoft is. I just had to clown on them right now after reading about this new game. If you can even call it a game, it's not a game. It's just not. It is just a desperate ploy to try and squeeze some money out of some gullible fools, some suckers. Oh god. Anyway though, that's about it. See ya. A couple days ago, a friend of mine, Matt, came over. You might have met him before. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for a long time, and we had a little play date. And he came over, and we got to talking. We got to yapping a little bit, blabbering about really evil companies. I think it started because we were going through, like, Meta. And as we were going over, like, Meta and all of their shadiness, it naturally led to, like, TikTok and Twitter and Amazon, the whole kit and caboodle, and then we ended up just diving down the rabbit hole of just discussing, like, evil companies in general. So I just fired on the OBS and started recording the conversation. This is really just the stream of consciousness and ranting about bad companies and learning about how some companies we knew were bad were even worse than we thought. And I just decided, hey, maybe you'd find it interesting. Or maybe you just want to hear about some shitty companies. So here's two stupid assholes talking about some of the evil corporations in the world. So there's some companies I know are evil, but I can't put my finger on why, like BlackRock.
Right.
And Blackstone.
Exactly.
And any, like, Black plus
one of the
Geode is like bad.
They're always, it almost feels like they tried to make the evilest company.
Yeah, like, so what is BlackRock? They're an investment group, right?
Exactly, and that's everybody's. There's also BlackRock Bar and Grill. They're fine.
Evil.
I don't like their food. They're fine.
And then, so BlackRock
investing.
They own everything, right?
Like just everything in the world. You should look. Yeah, I'll get the size of their investment fund.
Yeah, and then Blackstone is, what do they do?
I don't know what Blackstone is.
Okay, that's Massage Stones.
Yep.
Blackstone's definitely a company. Oh, I typed in Backstone. I see what went wrong. Okay. Yeah.
There you go, Blackstone.
And it's an investment management company.
And type in who owns Blackstone. I bet it's BlackRock.
Oh no. The geodes go deep. Stephen A. Schwarzman.
Blackstone.
Over 1.1 trillion in assets
Under management. All right, now let's see. BlackRock assets. BlackRock has 10.01 trillion in assets under management.
Oh wow. Now what about Rupert Murdoch? He's not a company. Well, he is kind of a company.
He's not a company, right?
Well, he has every company. He is the media mogul. So like every news agency is Murdoch backed. Well, he looks like Dana Carvey in Master of Disguise when he's trying to get into the Turtle Club.
You're absolutely right. Just older.
Yeah.
Also, one thing I've always thought, Rupert Murdoch is the most evil sounding name possible.
Did you see it in the Super Bowl? They gave him a shout out.
I did.
They said shout out Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah. I forget why.
He probably owns the broadcasting rights.
Oh, that's right.
He owns anything that hits the television screen, Murdoch's got his little winky in.
Oh, he founded Fox.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure you know the show Succession.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I know it.
There we go. I'm pretty sure the main guy in Succession is based on Rupert Murdoch.
That makes sense.
I think if you're in media, you're evil.
Yeah.
Like, if you own media corporations, you are evil.
I think that's fair. Like, I feel like it's also only owned by 3 people. Now, I think the most obvious one that we can definitely
I was
put...
going to say, do we want to put our number 1 out there?
Yeah, United Healthcare.
It's UHC.
Yeah.
There's...
Well, the good news is, checking UHC's website, they claim that they approve and pay 90% of all medical claims.
How is that not just false advertising?
It's just a
we know it's not true.
It's just legitimately a blatant lie. It's so good.
Greedy and evil.
Like, needlessly evil, too. Like, outrageously, comically, cartoonishly evil.
Yes.
I think it's worth mentioning, when we say United Healthcare, I'm talking more about, like, even just general health insurance being the worst company in the world.
I think they are the worst
of the
them,
worst, yeah.
But they're all terrible.
There's not a good health insurance provider.
Every other healthcare company probably loves UHC because they take all of the heat. That's also horrible. Like, these are all bad.
Yeah, they're all not good. Burger King is actually going to be on the worst companies list. It's like the worst.
I can't put it as 2.
It wouldn't be 2. It'd be I'd put it in the top 20 just because the food is so almost inedibly bad that I think you have to give a special spot on a list of worst companies because they consistently have the worst possible food options.
All the time. And just to be clear, in our opinion.
Yeah, well, if we want to get factual, Long John Silver's probably worse than Burger King.
If we want to be factual. Boeing.
Oh,
We
Boeing!
didn't get into This list is going to be so tough. I almost just want a bucket that we throw all the bad companies in.
Yeah.
Because I know UHC's up here.
It's
healthcare's
in
up
a different league, really. Boeing's a really good one because Boeing, not only are the planes not performing well and they just stranded astronauts in space on the Starliner for the last like fucking 14 months. What was supposed to be an 8-day mission has turned into like 300 days stranded on the ISS.
Just insane.
But like, where do you put them? Because like no one's died as a result of the Boeing like corruption yet, aside from the whistleblowers that they're fucking piling corpses up.
But didn't people die in the plane crashes?
Yeah, but that wasn't Boeing's fault. The Max crashes, that was entirely Boeing's fault. Right. I just mean, like, recently.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
But yeah, I mean, Boeing does have tons of blood on its hands. I was just talking about, like, these recent plane crashes aren't...
Those aren't them.
It's not
I agree. And we're nothing if not intellectual and can separate, our feelings.
Yeah.
But I know you've watched the same things back when, like, what happened to Boeing, where they were the golden standard.
If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going.
Exactly. And it was true. And it was when engineers ran the whole company. They sold it. Suits took over for the engineers.
Yep.
Of course, the first thing they should cut to save money is quality testing and quality assurance.
Yep, and they have so many protocols that they just don't follow anymore.
And it all just went to shit. But no, you are right. The most recent ones aren't really...
Not Boeing's fault per se.
Yeah.
But the Max crashes... That was entirely Boeing.
Yeah.
They've got to be up there with like the worst companies. I don't know where we'd put it, like in the top 5.
I don't either. This is another interesting one. I feel like we're getting all the data out there and then we'll arrange the puzzle. Monsanto.
What's that?
Which they are the pesticide company.
Yeah, they're agrochemical, agricultural, biotech.
Yes. And I've always heard... What needs to be said except how are they not the number 1 worst company? Formed at the start of the last century, they are still going strong even after producing PCBs and dioxin and greatly affecting war veterans and Vietnamese children. They had to radically transform to survive towards the end of the century. You start to see that justice must be a joke. Now, that doesn't say what it is.
Apparently, they manufactured Agent Orange.
Oh!
Holy!
Yeah. Roundup.
Did you see it? I didn't see it. Oh, yeah.
Because Roundup, you know how like people will be like, coffee causes cancer, like here's a few, but it's very...
It's loose.
Roundup is one of the products I found where they're like, this is cancer. Like, they've created cancer in a can. is what I've essentially read.
Okay. Yeah, I've never even heard of it.
This also says, oh yeah, there we go. It's got glyphosate in it. What I was reading was that Monsanto knew it caused cancer and also falsified reports to hide it. They're a corporation known to falsify reports in order to obtain approval for whatever they are currently manufacturing. They did this with Agent Orange and PCBs, so it can evidently be surmised that they probably did this with the GMO reports they submitted to the FDA.
I don't know this company very well. They seem bad.
Yeah.
They seem like jerks.
They do.
Agent Orange?
Yep.
Not a fan.
Not great. Not my favorite.
Didn't like it. I did get reminded. Nestle.
I was just about to say that.
Nestle.
I was literally about to say Monsanto reminded me of Nestle.
They have to be in the top 3. It is still great. But do you remember the baby formula controversy for Nestle? Careful examination of Nestle's marketing behavior shows that Nestle entry into low and middle income formula markets caused 212,000 infant deaths per year among mothers without clean water access at the peak of the Nestle controversy of 1981. Well, Nestle also had their infamous statement, "Water is not a human right." Nestle was accused of providing free or low-cost supplies of infant formula in hospitals and maternity centers, often dispensed by milk nurses, which were salesmen dressed in nurse uniforms, to encourage new mothers to use infant formula. Formula use among newborns increased the risk that mothers release prolactin-inhibiting hormones, which signal milk production to shut down, creating a future dependence on breast milk substitutes. By the 60s, Nestle already viewed marketing of formula in hospitals as a strategic approach to encouraging adoption of infant formula, as seen in an excerpt from its 1969 annual report. So Shein's on here. I don't know enough about Shein, but...
Oh, the clothing company?
Temu.
Oh.
Temu's gotta make the list.
Just reminded me, though.
Comcast,
the fucking internet companies.
Yeah,
Nothing's
ISPs.
good. FTX is crazy because clearly it's a horrible company, but it's like it's almost laughably bad. In a way. Like I guess not for all of the people who lost all of their money in it.
Oh, easy one. Ticketmaster. That's another really easy one.
Yeah, it is. And this is what I'm meaning by buckets, because top bucket you've got UHC, Monsanto, Nestle, the people who are killing
Like
people
actively
and don't
killing
care.
people, yeah.
And then the next bucket is like, you guys fucking suck.
Yeah.
Like, you are greedy as all.
It's just,
get out.
it's a scam, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a huge racket where Ticketmaster owns Live Nation, and like Ticketmaster has all the fees and shit.
Yep.
They're still in a legal battle right now, which is a
With
pretty
who? Like which side?
God, like they're in just like a huge legal battle. They had a really cool statement that I'm struggling to remember. They said something to the effect of, "We're saving you money," in the end or something. Let me look it up. Ticketmaster argued that competition would cost fans more money in their antitrust lawsuit.
Oh. Yeah, because that's how that works.
Yeah, usually when there's competition, I mean,
Yeah.
the consumers are the ones that are hurt.
They compete to drive price up
Yeah,
faster.
exactly. That's economics 101. With Ticketmaster having monopoly, now they have complete control to look out for your best
You
interests.
know how low they can make those prices if they wanted to?
Yeah, and they are.
Yeah, they're doing it. Purdue Pharmaceuticals. They are the ones behind the Oxy crisis.
How so?
They were the ones who pushed Oxy on all doctors, said it wasn't dangerous at all, lied about everything.
Last month, Attorney General Ken Paxton secured $7.4 billion settlement with Purdue Pharma and Sackler family for the role in the opioid epidemic.
That's wild. They clearly knew, and the fact that nobody's gone to jail is disgusting.
Yeah, I looked up the Sacklers' awful last name, by the way.
You know who played him in one of the Netflix shows?
Huh?
Matthew Broderick.
Oh, God. He was on our Worst Celebrities list. He makes a comeback. For those that don't know why we dislike Matthew Broderick and why he made the bad celebrities tier list, he killed a woman from drunk driving. Well, it was a woman and her daughter, if I remember right. The 1987 car crash, she crossed the wrong lane, collided head-on with another car. The driver, Anna Gallagher, and her mother, Margaret Doherty, were killed instantly. He got charged $100 for the careless driving practices.
Because then you've got Amazon, who's like, you can't pee.
Yeah.
So there's all these different categories of bad, essentially.
Bank of America is one that's always going to be on the list. I feel like that one's also pretty obvious.
I feel like there's big industry sections too, like banks in general, healthcare in general.
Lockheed Martin.
I mean, they're...
Nintendo. The way... That one should be pretty clear. I don't like Nintendo.
The way they handle...
Everything. They shit on the community. They have the most anti-consumer, archaic practices. There's Ubisoft, because they're absolutely in the shitter.
Yeah,
like
and I think there's a lot of these gaming companies. That's why I think I'm saying it's our list, not the objective list.
Yeah.
Because I would put a lot of these gaming companies on there in my mind.
But they also just wouldn't be anywhere in the same ballpark as like,
a UHC.
Yeah, as a...
Exactly.
Or a Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, we've got UHC, Lockheed Martin, Nintendo, Burger King. There's just so many bad companies. So how do we narrow this down to 10? And how do you want to?
I don't know. I don't think we need to. We can just be ranting about shitty companies.
This isn't even a list at this point. We're just talking about the worst companies.
Yeah. I think we know which the worst in the world is, though. It's got to be health insurance, right?
It has to be
health insurance.
I feel like there's no world in which it's not. Like, our top buckets are health insurance, pharmaceuticals. I'm trying to think of how I would encompass, like, Monsanto and Nestle.
While you think about that, I'm going to go to a special bucket and put some poop in it. I'll be right back. What'd you find?
So I was reading about this company, Cargill.
Oh, yeah. Cargill? It's pronounced Cargill.
Oh, it's French. They're the second largest privately owned company in the U.S. From what I read, they're bad.
Yep.
But doesn't seem like, I don't think they complete. My whole thing was like people died from salmonella, E. coli, all this stuff. Let me show you one thing though. But it's not like they created Agent Orange, which I think precludes them from that. Read this. I said this sounds like fucking Hydra.
We are the flour in your bread, the wheat in your noodles, the salt on your fries, the corn in your tortillas, the chocolate in your dessert, the sweetener in your soft drink. We are the oil in your salad dressing and the beef, pork, or chicken you eat for dinner. We are the cotton in your clothing, the backing on your carpet, and the fertilizer in your field.
It feels like a threat.
It feels like what Chucky Finster's mom wrote him before she died.
That's such a different way to look at it.
Wait, do you remember her note?
No.
I'm the wind against your hair.
Oh, no.
The flower in your garden.
So I think Cargill, I don't know enough. I'm not saying they're not bad. I'm just saying I don't know enough to put them on my list.
Yeah, I've never even heard of Cargill, but it says they're destroying the planet, so it looks like big deforestation.
Gotcha. All right, not good.
So not good.
You know what? Just because this stuff says it, we'll put them on there. Put them at the bottom. Cargill's there.
They're there. They made it.
So would you say above all else is healthcare?
Yep,
I think that's my number one by a landslide.
for sure. I think so as well.
I think the category of doing really bad things and knowing that you're doing it, and once again people are dying, but just not to the same level as like a UHC who's just denying sick people help.
Yeah, so that'd be pharma, the Purdue Pharma,
Pharma.
Nestle.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think... I think there's a lot we missed, for sure.
We could keep digging through.
No, we don't need to. I feel like there's just so many it'd be hard to pinpoint. Like, I think there's so many that are obvious, like Apple,
Yeah, and that's the human rights violations, I feel like, which is Amazon maybe towards the top of that. But once you get into that, it's all of them. It's Apple, it's Nike, it's every clothing manufacturer, 90% of clothing manufacturers. Like,
we didn't even think about cigarettes. Cigarettes is it's so easy. But
this is another category in my head.
Does that make them evil though? Because you smoke it and you know it's bad for you. I think they're probably more
like, I think they almost go along with an Exxon in my head, because the amount of money and campaigning they do, at least back then, to convince you they're not bad.
That's true. They used to do that.
And then I think it's all malicious negligence, where you go, I know this is bad, but it makes me money, so I'm going to do everything in my power to keep making this money.
Yeah.
BlackRock's on there.
Pornhub, porn in general.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Also, yeah, I know. I thought we were doing worse, not best.
What is this one?
I don't know. Try pulling it up. I thought that was... Is that Titleist?
The worst golf balls
golf
I've ever had.
Oh, God. Is that just England?
I think that's a car brand. I think we hit the good ones.
I think we've hit the good ones as well.
I don't think there's any like glaring behemoth we missed or any.
No, we can finish off with our most hated companies, which is Burger King.
Naturally. Artesian builds.
Defunct companies.
Yes.
You happy with that list?
I'm happy with that list. Good work. Good work today. Wow, what a crazy day this has been. So I'm sure pretty much all of you that clicked on this video already know about what's happened with the Dr. Disrespect situation. To catch you up to speed with the briefest previously on Dragon Ball Z recap, Dr. Disrespect was the face of Twitch. In 2020, he was mysteriously banned from the platform and not a peep had ever been uttered about why. This was a secret more guarded than the Krabby Patty formula. I really thought we'd never know the reason that Dr. Disrespect was banned. I thought that'd be taken to the grave. I thought we'd crack faster than light travel before we ever learned what the reason behind it was. But then from out of nowhere on just an average quiet Friday night, a former Twitch employee dropped a bombshell allegation claiming that Dr. Disrespect was banned due to sexting a minor through the Twitch Whispers service. Now, there was never any screenshots or evidence provided to support that claim. However, some other parties came forward saying that they had all heard a similar reason behind the ban. Dr. Disrespect then made a response to that statement, which was less than satisfactory for most people with a functioning frontal lobe because he talked very vaguely about it and didn't actually outright deny the claim at all. So then he made a follow-up statement which aimed to provide a little more clarity, but it was still pretty vague, and both of these seemed to have like a lot of legalese talk to him to try, like, kind of tiptoe around the topic itself. So both of his responses, like the tweets, weren't received overly well. It was like he just kept stepping on a rake like in a cartoon and hitting himself in the face. He wasn't doing himself favors with his statements. But then the credibility of the source of behind this allegation started to be called into question because people did digging through their Twitter and found out they'd actually been dangling this carrot in front of their audience about they know the reason Dr. Disrespect's been banned, and if you buy tickets to their concert, they might reveal it. So then people started to question that, and then today, Dr. Disrespect released another statement where he admitted to the claim of talking to a minor through Twitch Whispers inappropriately. However, he denies that there was any real intent behind the messages, which is a crazy thing to say. Like, if any of you have watched To Catch a Predator, you'll recognize that tactic, that little maneuver right there, because that's something that was pretty frequent on that show. When a predator went down and talked with Chris Hansen, a lot of them said that same thing pretty much. Like, oh, no, I didn't mean any of that. I was actually just teaching them a lesson about talking to strangers and the dangers of it. There was never any real intent behind the things that were said. Like, that's a very weird thing to try and say. So let's just go through his statement first, though. The Twitch ban. Hello, I'd like to make a statement. Let's cut the bullshit. As you know, there's no filter with me. I've always been upfront and real with you guys on anything that I can be upfront about, and I'm always willing to accept responsibility, which is why I'm here now. First and foremost, I do want to apologize to everyone in my community, as well as those close to me, my team, and everyone at Midnight Society Game Studio. For those that don't know, I forgot to mention this in my lore exposition on this. His company that he founded, Midnight Society Game Studio, which had been working on a game with him for a long time, announced yesterday that they were going to be terminating him after they conducted an investigation, and after they assumed his innocence, found something through their investigation that made them uncomfortable keeping him around, so they let him go. So that's why he's mentioning them here. A lot of people have been left in the dark about what happened yesterday with Midnight Society and I, and we made the painful decision collectively to have me step down. Our team is full of incredibly talented and good people that have high career ambitions and families. I'd never want to jeopardize the culture we have carefully crafted. Now, before getting into the rest of this, I do want to mention, Midnight Society themselves said that he was terminated. Here he's saying that he stepped down like it was a mutual decision. I don't know if this is like a you can't fire me, I quit type of situation, you know, turn in the badge and the gun and go your separate way as a lone wolf, or what? Like, there's just a bit of a discrepancy whether he was terminated by Midnight Society or if he himself and them left on good terms where he agreed to step down. Ultimately, the point is, he's no longer associated with that studio anymore after they conducted their own investigation into this subject. Everyone has been wanting to know why I was banned from Twitch, but for reasons outside of my control, I was not allowed to say anything for the last several years. Now that 2 former Twitch employees have publicly disclosed the accusations, I can now tell you my side of the story regarding the ban. Were there Twitch whisper messages with an individual minor back in 2017? The answer is yes. Were there real intentions behind these messages? The answer is absolutely not. These were casual, mutual conversations that sometimes leaned too much in the direction of being inappropriate, but nothing more. Nothing illegal happened, no pictures were shared, no crimes were committed, I never even met the individual. I went through a lengthy arbitration regarding a civil dispute with Twitch, and that case was resolved by a settlement. Let me be clear, it was not a criminal case against me, and no criminal charges have ever been brought against me. Now, the doc actually edited this statement twice. So initially, he posted it with the word minor in it, saying, were there messages with an individual minor? The answer is yes. But then shortly after he published it, he edited the word minor out of it. So he removed that. He redacted it like a fucking CIA document, trying to bury it, just snapping it out of existence. So then it read, were there messages with an individual? The answer is yes. But people were quick to notice the edit, and you can actually check edit history on Twitter, which I didn't know you can do, but you could clearly see that the original no longer matched the current one because he took the word minor out. So when people caught him red-handed, he just edited it one more time to put the word minor back into it. Now, there is a lot to say about just that small chunk right there, but I'm going to finish reading the statement first before we really dive into the weeds of it. Now, from a moral standpoint, I'll absolutely take responsibility. I should have never entertained these conversations to begin with. That's on me. That's on me as an adult, a husband, and a father. It should have never happened. I get it. I'm not perfect, and I'll fucking own my shit. This was stupid. Now, with all this said, don't get it mistaken. I've seen all the remarks and labels being thrown around so loosely. Social media is a destruction zone. I'm no predator or pedophile. Are you kidding me? Anyone that truly knows me knows where I stand on these things with those type of people. Fuck that. That's a different level of disgust that I hate even hearing about. Don't be labeling me as the worst of the worst with your exaggerations. Get the fuck out of here with that. But I think I've said what I needed to say regarding the ban itself. That's it. That's why Twitch made the decision in 2020. To my team, community, industry friends that have supported me, I apologize. I wish I could have said all this sooner. You guys have always shown me and my family love and support throughout all these years. We love you guys like you can't imagine. I have the best community and circle. If any of this has made you uncomfortable, I get it. You don't have to support me anymore, but just know you have always been greatly appreciated. Trust me when I say this. To all my haters that live and breathe social media with zero real-life experience, I don't give a fuck about you. Finally, if you're uncomfortable with this entire statement and think I'm a piece of shit, that's fine. I'm not going anywhere. Actual Wolf of Wall Street energy. I'm not fucking leaving. And I'm not the same guy that made this statement all those years ago. I'm taking an extended vacation with my family as mentioned on stream, and I'm coming back with a heavy weight off my shoulders. They want me to disappear. Yeah, fucking right. He tries to close this statement with a really hard, cheesy 80s action movie one-liner. They want me to disappear. Yeah, fucking right. Granny shifting, not double clutching like you should. You're lucky you didn't blow the welds off the intake. I'm not leaving. It's really kind of ridiculous to put that there with accusations like this. These are super serious. Like, this isn't something people take lightly at all. In his own statement, he has openly admitted to messaging a minor and had conversations that were inappropriate, or as he said, leaned into being inappropriate. Now, what's not clear, and what a lot of people are coping with, is that maybe Dr. Disrespect didn't know the age of the person he was communicating with, but I truly feel if that was the case, Dr. Disrespect would have mentioned that, saying that he had those communications with this person that he believed was of age but turned out to be a minor. I think if that was the reality of that situation, if he truly communicated with someone that he thought was of age but turned out to be a minor, I think he would have mentioned that in this statement, but he didn't. He didn't say that he was under the impression he was communicating with an adult. He just says that he had conversations with an individual minor. He doesn't say anything like, oh, they were actually one day away from being 18, or I really thought they were, in their 20s, or anything like that. And I think if that was what happened, it would have been mentioned here. I really do. But there's no mention of that. So it's hard to give that benefit of the doubt that he didn't know, because I think he would have mentioned if that was the case. I also think it's pretty telling that some of the closest people to Dr. Disrespect are coming forward saying how unacceptable it was and distancing themselves from him, because if he didn't know that he was communicating with a minor, he probably would have told them at the very least, but they're not saying that either. So here's Robert Bowling, one of his business partners here, saying, if you inappropriately message a minor, I cannot work with you, period. I promised to only act on facts, and I did. So I just really don't think there's a whole lot of wiggle room about Doc not knowing that he was communicating with a minor. Like, I feel like there's been plenty of opportunities now for that information to have come out from somewhere, but nobody is saying that other than people theorizing and hoping that maybe that's the case. But Doc himself has never said that that was a possibility. He'd never even hinted that he didn't know the person's age, and the people closest to him aren't saying that either. So I really think that it's likely that he did know that, and he still had these conversations that lean to being inappropriate with someone he knew to be a minor, which is fucking disgusting. Now, there are people still defending this, saying, well, he didn't go to jail for it, so what's the big deal? Can't wait for the next stream, Doc. Firm handshakes. Like, there's people that are just dismissing this as not a big deal, which is insanity. I think that is pure lunacy. I can't fucking believe some of what I'm reading here from people that are just writing this off as not a big deal because it's a streamer they like. An adult communicating inappropriately with a minor is bad. Full stop. It's inexcusable. No matter how you spin it, that is a horrible thing. Now, he may not have met up with the minor in question. However, was that his decision? Was he the one that decided not to meet up with him? Because with the information that's been come out, now, again, keep in mind, we don't have access to the chat log, like the conversations that took place, but from all the sources that have come out from, like, Bloomberg and all of that, it sounds like the conversation they had did talk about meeting up at TwitchCon. So, that right there shows pretty real intent to meet up with this person. And who knows, maybe it was the minor that ultimately got uncomfortable with this whole thing and called it off, not the doc. We don't know for sure. The only thing we do know for sure with what the doc just confirmed is that he was talking inappropriately with a minor, which is a terrible, terrible thing. And even his closest friends are saying they can't defend it, it's inexcusable. And they're right. It is inexcusable. But there are still people trying to defend it, as pathetic as that is. And Dr. Disrespect claims that he's going to come back at some point. And I have no doubt when he does, he's still going to have a massive audience. I can already tell, based on the amount of people jumping through hoops trying to find ways of justifying this and spinning it in ways where he doesn't look evil. Which is impossible, but they're doing their best. So I know when he comes back, he will probably have tons of viewers and tons of donations out the fucking wazoo, saying things like, keep your head up, Doc, don't let cancel culture get you down. It's just a fucking cancel culture mob that came after you. You're a victim of that mob, that's it. Which is just so unhinged. He has openly admitted, in his own words, to inappropriately talking to a minor. It's just craziness. So, that's the update to this whole Dr. Disrespect ban situation. That's really about it. So yeah. Whenever I see a massive company start to show signs of failure and going down the path of collapse, I'm often reminded of the late, great Blockbuster, God rest its soul. The pioneer who really did it first. A company deemed too big to fail, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And since then, there's been a couple other companies that have gone down a similar path, and right now there is a new one pulling a Blockbuster, Niji-Sanji. Whether or not you're a huge VTuber fan, you're at least familiar with the industry. VTubing is huge, and it has been for years now. It's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions. And in this space, there are two agencies that stand atop the others as kind of the titans of the space. It's HoloLive and Niji-Sanji. Now, Niji-Sanji has an English branch that right now is going through one of the most foul displays of mismanagement, cruelty, and just downright terrible business practice I've seen in quite some time. It's a real head scratcher because every single day they continue to dig themselves a deeper and deeper hole. It's like this company is run by a Voltorb that is obsessed with using the move self-destruct. It is just bent on burying itself. So I definitely wanted to talk about it now that I'm fully caught up on the situation. There is so much to go over. There's a really good video that breaks down like the main timeline here for what happened. And it comes from Mugen. I'll go ahead and play the main catalyst for this, and then I'm going to actually turn to a series of Reddit comments that were left that I think go over the entire history of the Niji Sanji problems that have come to light, and then fast forward to what just happened last night, where an even bigger controversy just unfolded. So there really is a lot to cover, and all of it's looking terrible for Niji Sanji, the English branch, that is. Now, when I first was made aware of this on stream a little while ago, I said that I'm not even surprised by it because a lot of these VTuber agencies have a history of some very terrible things going on behind the scenes. Many of you know I started my own agency for YouTubers and streamers a while back called Human Media Group. We recently merged with Jimmy Here's group and became Mana Talent Group. And over the years, I've actually seen a couple of these VTuber contracts that they were formerly under. And it is downright evil what some of them were doing to the talent that they manage. I obviously can't get into the specifics of it, but it is some horrible stuff, that some really bad stories and bad things that we saw from that. But even being familiar with some of the horror stories that we'd learned over the years from some agencies, I was shocked to see just how bad Niji Sanji was here. So I want to focus more on the most recent stuff that just happened, but I still would like to give you a foundation for what started all of it. So for that, I'll turn to this clip from Mugen's video that breaks down this whole situation and just give you the catalyst. This was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, fundamentally, that kicked off this world war against Niji Sanji, all of which they brought upon themselves by being just complete, unreasonable, evil assholes.
It all started on Christmas Day, a day you're meant to enjoy with family. It couldn't have gone worse. The trigger for this entire catastrophe? A music video. Selen had worked on a music video for her fans. She paid $15,000 out of her own pocket because Niji Sanji wouldn't fund it. And on top of not funding it, what do? They take down the video in under 24 hours. No explanation to the public. Remember what I said about corporations and how they have access to all social media of their VTubers? Yeah, that's what happened, and she couldn't do anything about it. All she could realistically do under the very tight contracts and NDAs of a corporation is make up a vague tweet, sort of explaining what's going on to her fans.
Selen was a VTuber that was very popular and was with Niji Sanji's English branch. And she had a history of being super involved in her community. She called them Dragoons. And she wanted to do a special music video for the community and paid $15,000 out of her own pocket to make it happen for the fans. And she posted it, thinking that it was totally okay to do because she self-funded it when Niji Sanji declined to, but they made a big stink about it and took the video down, even though she had permission for the song that was used and even though it came from her own piggy bank instead of theirs. They didn't like that it didn't get the proper approval through the internal management. Because the way Niji Sanji runs their company, it's with a fucking iron fist. You need permission to fart on stream as a VTuber under that agency. And since she didn't get all of the proper channels to sign off on it, they took it down. Which of course was a huge hit to Selen and her community because they worked very hard on that project. So she made a vague statement explaining that, well, management took it down, but she actually encouraged her community to re-upload it across the platform because she wanted it to live on. And she assumed that would be okay because, you know, it's not on her channel anymore, so they shouldn't have a problem with it. But they did. This soured relations between Selen and Niji Sanji, and behind the scenes it led to a lot of harassment and bullying from Niji Sanji against Selen.
Because out of nowhere, on December 27th, she tweets on her account, "I apologize for the silence. I've been in the hospital after an accident and will be staying there for a few days to be under supervision. I just got back access to my phone yesterday." Now, of course, people were happy she was out of the hospital, but the concern was still there. It was very vague and people didn't know what was going on. The Selen Tatsuki termination notice. I will not be silenced anymore. On December, I was hospitalized for an attempt that was caused by a buildup of bullying from within and being in a toxic and poor environment for numerous months that led to my breaking point. I requested to leave first, but on more neutral terms on the 26th of January.
Obviously, I chopped this up and Frankenstein together this little segment to give you a very concise timeline. So, Selin made a post about how she's going to need to take some time away after an accident that landed her in the hospital. Everything was very vague. Eventually, she explains that she's been discharged from the hospital, and then shortly thereafter, Niji-Sanji English branch announced the termination of Selin Tatsuki. The termination letter is very poorly explained as to why she's exactly being fired. Now, when it comes to VTubers, there's two ways that departing a company goes. One is a graduation stream, where they graduate from the company and it means that they are leaving on good terms. So they have like a big send-off farewell stream, and that's the end of it. Sail off into the sunset, sunshine and rainbows, it's a happy ending. You get the good ending. Or there's this, where you just get publicly terminated and just fucking slapped down by the company like this. And in this case, obviously, Selin got the latter, where they just said, she's gone. Now, if you're not familiar with VTubing, when you sign with an agency like Niji-Sanji, they basically own you. They give you your VTuber avatar, they own all of your socials, your channels, everything. You are unable to operate with any type of autonomy. You are under their thumb, and they basically own all of it. So she lost access to everything here, and she actually didn't even know she was being terminated. She found out when this tweet dropped. They didn't even notify her. And the tweet, again, is very poorly explaining things. They talk about Selin like it's a fucking IKEA furniture tutorial on how to put it together. It's just like talking about a bunch of nonsense about authorization flows not making sense and whatever. And then they cite like the music video and how when she made the tweet that management took it down, it damaged their brand and caused problems for them, this and that. It was just fucking stupid, a bunch of dirty barnacles. And then Selin went to her original account, her original brand of Doki Bird, to explain what actually happened, is that due to the harassment and bullying and the toxic environment Niji-Sanji created, she made an attempt on her own life and landed in the hospital. Luckily, she survived and is still with us today, but she no longer would be silenced by this company and bullied into being silent, so she started to explain what happened behind the scenes that led to all of this stress and all of these problems. She lawyered up and is engaged in now a legal battle with Niji-Sanji, presumably, that is being worked on. And that is where all of this really started. That's when the floodgates opened. And with all of this information out there now, people were able to go back to some previous Niji-Sanji talent with a finer tooth comb and see that the signs of a sinking ship had been there for quite a while. Signs of a company that mistreats its employees, signs of a company that is mismanaged and just downright diabolical behind closed doors, and I want to go over that because we have a lore master in the comments section of a Livestream fails clip that I think does an extraordinary job of just laying all of this information out. So our guide is Weebshitter69, a great name for a great philosopher. So Weebshitter starts by explaining what Niji-Sanji is and how big Niji-Sanji is, and then takes us back to the past. March 10th, 2023, one of Niji-Sanji's newer talents, Zion Lanza, was terminated, which again is being fired, publicly, and then put out this bullet point list of the infractions that they accrued. And at the time, people sided with Niji-Sanji, but then stated that the way they handled it was a little unprofessional, especially coming from a multi-million-dollar company, and just overall not great. But since Zion no longer had access to their accounts, she returned to her original account that she had before joining, which was Sayu Synchronicity. Now, if you've followed this story for a while, you've probably seen this meme tossed around about Sayu was right, or Sayu trying to warn us, and this is what they're referring to. On that account, she revealed more information about her own experiences inside the company, hinting at a toxic environment, incompetent management and bullying, stealth suspensions, etc., and she further stated that she hopes other talent realize their own worth and that they deserve better. Some people sided with Sayu, but most didn't at the time. Then in May of 2023, Selin Tatsuki hosts a contest letting her fans design her next outfit. Niji Sanji management tried to put a stop to the very act of compensating the artists for their designs, while also trying to assert that artists who enter the contest should hand over the rights to the artwork for free. Selen refuses this notion and pays the winners out of her own pocket instead. She, a while after that, hinted that management no longer allowed her to organize events anymore, which sounds about par for the course for a company like Niji Sanji, where July 8th of 2023, Nina Kosaka graduated, meaning they left on good terms, had a farewell stream, but then comes back later with VShojo, which is another VTuber agency, as Matara Khan. That information will be pertinent later. August 27th of 2023, Mr. Rias also graduates, saying that he was burnt out and no longer had any drive, and reappeared shortly after as K9 Kudo as the first male VTuber in VShojo. Again, information that'll be important here soon. Once they settled in, statements from both of them saying how surprised they were that management in VShojo were actually helping them achieve their creative aspirations started to come out, and how they finally feel like they have worth after being repeatedly told by some that they did not, strongly echoing Sayu's previous statements, even revealing that they did not receive the YouTube plaques on their own channels during their time in Niji Sanji, but rather that the company kept them. So, Niji Sanji kept the plaques from the YouTube channels, meaning the 100,000 subscriber play button or the gold play button for 1 million. The talent didn't even see that, which is just such a scummy thing to do, obviously. Now, while Sayu was a relatively new member of Niji Sanji at the time, Nina and Mista were considered cornerstone, thus the tides started to slowly turn. And then they jump a bit forward in the timeline, and that's when they fast forward to the Selen Christmas catastrophe with the music video that got taken down by management. And then in January, with the departure of Pomu Rainpuff, more people started to wonder how bad things were at Niji Sanji. Pomu Rainpuff was one of their biggest VTubers and shocked everyone when they announced their graduation in January. And it was even more shocking when people didn't hear from Selen since they were friends. So that's when people started to worry about her safety. And then in February, another liver named Kyo Kaneko announced the graduation, which again brought the community into an uproar, wondering, why is there so many people departing all at once here? Is there like a waiting list, like this fucking purgatory or something with people waiting to go to the other side? And then on February 5th, Niji Sanji released that termination notice. And that's when Doki Bird talked about what actually happened with her hospitalization following her unalive attempt that was built up from the stress that Niji Sanji put upon her, and a lot of information started to come out, both from artists and other people who had previously worked with them, claiming that working with Niji Sanji was never very good, there was delay in payments, NDAs being sent multiple times with the wrong name, just so many different things. But Selen had always paid the artists out of her own pocket during this period of turmoil while trying to work with Niji Sanji. And following all of this new information coming to light, the public was understandably outraged, because this is just some deplorable garbage. The dam broke and they were flooded with tons and tons of angry fans. The tornado blew through and picked up 500 septic tanks, and the shitstorm that came with it was something that Niji Sanji couldn't have possibly predicted. So Niji Sanji's stakeholders started to suffer. They lost several sponsorships because of all of this. Apparently their stock price, like their valuation or whatever, started to plummet as well. It was a huge hit to their company, and it only continues to get worse by the day. So Selen revealed that she had spent like $250,000 of her own money on projects throughout the last year there, so she made no profit. And a very interesting piece of information that people brought up is that in December of 2022, Mista Rias had a slip of the tongue revealing that talent only gets 1% of merch sales, and other reports stating that it was a whole 2%. And this serves to showcase that Niji Sanji doesn't just harass and bully their talent directly, they also financially fuck them. That is downright criminal. Only giving 1 or 2%, if they're feeling gracious enough, of merch sales to the talent is mind-boggling. And I saw a couple people defending this, and let me just go ahead and take you in real quick, because it looks like you blew in from Stupidville. That is unacceptable. Yes, the VTubers here don't actually own their avatar or anything. That does belong to Niji Sanji, and they signed the contract and agreed to that. But without them, that merch doesn't move. They are still the sole force for why that merch sells in the first place, thus should be compensated fairly. If they don't make that tweet about the merch being available, if they don't talk about it on stream, 0 people buy it. And to only give them a 1 or at most 2% cut of that is just laughably pathetic and it's just depraved, really. And this also led to a meme that you've probably seen if you've been keeping up with it, about how Niji Sanji's CEO was too busy on his yacht that he built on the back of his talent through exploiting them financially. It comes from this information, where apparently the CEO had flexed that he had a yacht that he had recently purchased or something. I didn't look into that too deeply, but I keep seeing that pop up everywhere with people citing different sources for it. I believe that that's probably something that happened because they are legitimately just exploiting their talent here. This is a completely unacceptable split. Under no circumstances should this be allowed. That is crazy. And what's even crazier is I know they're not the only ones that do that to their talent. In the VTuber space, I have seen some very unfair deals. Now, not this bad. I will say this is exceptionally horrible. But I wasn't surprised to learn that when I first saw that they take 98% of merch sales, because these VTuber agencies look for every possible way, at least the contracts I've seen from some of them, to squeeze every dime possible out of that talent while not letting them get the lion's share most of the time. I'm having to tiptoe around this a little bit because I don't want to get in any hot water with it. But yeah, it fucking sucks. That is awful. Now back to the Weeb Shitter archives here. Weeb Shitter then talks about what happened last night, which is what I want to talk about as well. So, the clip that he is referring to is Doki Bird was streaming. She has now come back to streaming, trying to, just have a good time with her community again, and things are going extremely well. She went from 10,000 subs to now over 500,000 subscribers. Her first stream back had over 100k concurrent. Absolutely fucking crushing it. And last night during her stream, which was her first gaming stream since being back, she had to end it early because fellow livers Alira Pandora, who'd been quiet since the announcement of Selin's termination, started a stream at the same time called A Message from Niji Sanji. And during the stream, she was joined by other Niji Sanji VTubers, Ike Eveland and Vox Akuma. Both of them were thought to be friends of Selin, or Doki Bird. And they read a totally not scripted message expressing how sad and betrayed they felt that Selin had given out personal information like real names and other required information about livers in her legal document that she sent over to Niji Sanji, and some of them stating that they had thoroughly read through it, as well as presenting Discord snippets between Selin and management when it was presented by them, thinking that it would absolve them. Now, I truly believe that Niji Sanji forced them to make this video. I think that they were 100% pressured into making this statement. I don't think the VTubers chose this, nor do I think they really believe what they were saying, because you'd have to be on some goddamn idiot juice to think that that was a good idea. Obviously, this is just inviting everyone in the community to throw tomatoes at you and scream, "Boo! Boo! You stink!" Like, it is a terrible statement from them, and the obvious big problem here, one that Doki Bird also had to call attention to, is that it seems Niji Sanji seemingly shared confidential information with these parties that are unrelated to the issues, which could potentially include her medical information. Which is fucking illegal. You can't do that. You can't just share this personal information. You can't break NDAs, and you certainly can't share sensitive medical information. There's protections in place for that. That's a highly illegal thing to do. Meanwhile, goofballs at fucking Niji Sanji here were real loosey-goosey with Doki Bird's information. Confidential information, it seems. So I'll go ahead and play the clip from Doki Bird when she learned about all of this.
Despite everything that has happened, I was very sad to find out a personal document that was only shown between 3 different parties had to be leaked out, because it was a document I made for my lawyer, and it was a document that was not supposed to be shown anywhere else but to me and my lawyer, and to the lawyers on the other side. And we were promised it was not to be shown anywhere else.
Because that's how the process is supposed to work in a fucking legal battle, where you're not sharing confidential information with others unrelated to the fucking legal battle taking place. But I guess Niji Sanji, being the goobers they are, for some reason tried to weaponize that information by giving it to Selin's friends, and most likely, I'll say there's a high chance, forcing them to make that video a message from Niji Sanji, which is a terrible video that I don't think they wanted to make, because they have to have known it'd be a disaster for them on a personal level. Like, their careers are definitely taking a hit because of that. Like, and I feel like they'd know that for sure. But I feel like Niji Sanji was trying to strong-arm them into doing it, because from the sound of things, it looks like anyone that signs with Niji Sanji is basically just their fucking hostage for the entire time you're with the agency. Dokibird went on Twitter to once again say that it was never supposed to be shown to anyone other than me, the lawyer, and any other relevant lawyers. It was a private document with personal information, and then expressed concern, wondering if her medical and hospital records were also released without her consent, since that was also promised to be kept private. She says she's currently talking to her lawyer, and thankfully only her diagnosis and reason for hospital stay was reported without further private info being disclosed. So that's currently where everything's at right now, and Niji Sanji is bleeding out. So much so that the CEO made his own little YouTuber apology video, which is trash. I was going to play you clips from his apology video, but with Niji Sanji, you never really know what stupid shit they're going to do, so I didn't want to risk getting a strike on it for covering it. So instead, I'll just go ahead and refer to the article here. One of the main things that he apologizes for off rip is that after announcing the termination of Selin, there was a notice that was published saying that the impact this would have on the company's performance would be negligible. And he says that this was a misunderstanding, and they used inconsiderate word choice for it, and recognizes that Selin was integral to the growth of Niji Sanji English branch. And really the whole thing more just seems like a statement to investors, like on a business side of things, as opposed to like a legitimate apology for anything that happened. To me, it comes across as super corpo soulless suit speak, like, yeah, we terminated Selin, whatever, well, who cares? What really matters is the investors not losing faith. So we'll make this video to try and regain that investor faith so we can keep raking in those big bucks. He promises like very vague things about change is coming, we need better systems in place, that we're working towards this and that. But none of it really comes across as sincere, especially considering that if you really wanted to make a good faith, like strong stance, like we need to change, start with monetarily. It's now come out that your talent gets fucked financially when it comes to their split on like merch sales and things like that. If you really want to make a good faith, like convincing, compelling argument that you're going to change, start there. I would like to see that, because you can easily showcase that one. It's going to be hard to convey to the public that you're changing things behind the scenes, because again, that's behind the scenes. It's always going to be something that the public's never going to be fully privy to. But your merch split with your talent, that is public. If you allow your VTubers to talk about it, they can say, hey, look, we just got raised up a ton of percentage when it comes to our merch split, and we really appreciate that. It's a sign of goodwill, you know, and maybe things will get better in the future elsewhere too. But personally, I don't see them making any meaningful changes to company culture or the way things happen behind the doors or anything monetarily. I just don't see them really doing a whole lot to improve. And I think the community feels largely the same way, which is why Niji Sanji continues to fester here. Now, while they haven't fully gone under or anything of that nature, they are definitely trending in a downward death spiral at the moment, where it seems more graduations are on the way, most likely, or perhaps even terminations to more talent, and the public is not super excited about the future of Niji Sanji English branch. Now, the English branch of Niji Sanji is just one component of it. Its biggest is still the Japanese sector. But I have to imagine if the English branch flounders and fails, it's going to be bad for Niji Sanji as a whole because it still was a sizable chunk of their company, and that's going to affect that side of things too. So it's definitely something that they wouldn't like to see go away, I would imagine. But it's looking like it's going towards that direction. So anyway, I just wanted to cover this a bit because it is a huge deal, and one of those situations where a company that was really at a point where it was probably too big to fail is starting to fail. Truly by their own mismanagement, own problems, and own toxicity. And I'm wishing the absolute best for Doki Bird going forward. Hopefully the legal process she's engaged in is smooth and an easy W, and hopefully her streams continue to pop off. So best of luck to her, and yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. I know this isn't my usual setup, but don't panic. This is not a cause for alarm. I'm actually here by choice. What you're looking at is hours of hard work. For about a year and a half now, I've been teasing on stream that I'm finally going to get the motivation to set up my streaming room and make it look really fucking cool, like a beautiful gamer's wet dream. And take a look. Did I lie, huh? I went from one empty room to another. It's like Squidward when he goes to that place to be all alone. So yeah, I just haven't felt like finishing this room today, but I will pretty soon. Maybe in another year and a half, we'll see. But we're here now, and I want to talk about something pretty important, and it actually has to deal with something that I was personally involved with. It has to do with Artesian Builds. That's the company that built all of the PCs that I've used and have at the warehouse for my friends to use for all of the editing and all of the content production we do. I'm sure by now you've all seen the clips as well as read the headlines. Artesian Builds really fucked themselves in the ass. They put their own dick in their butt, and now, as of today, they're pretty much no longer a company. They're officially dead and buried. But how did we get here? What happened? Artesian Builds would always be streaming their latest builds, where they'd interact with their community as well as do giveaways and shit like that. And a little over a week ago, their CEO went on stream during a giveaway, and when the giveaway winner was announced, he checked their profile and deemed them too small to actually earn the PC. I'm not going to play the clips, they're very hard to sit through, but their CEO was just going on and on about them being super small and not really benefiting the company, and then insinuating that their community isn't supportive or all kinds of just horrible shit. It was like a full-blown supervillain monologue, and not only is it extremely embarrassing and just downright fucking disgusting, but it's also borderline illegal. You can't just not honor a giveaway for no reason. You know, I can't run a giveaway and be like, hey, I'm giving away a water bottle of my spit or a jar of my farts, and then I announce the winner. I'm like, actually, this guy's kind of weird. He's a little stinky. I'm not going to give it to him. You can't do that. It's just fucking bad. And that's exactly what he did. He did it in a super condescending and aggressive tone. It really felt like he was personally insulted that the winner of the giveaway wasn't as large as he would have liked. So he was like really mean and nasty about it. He came across like spiteful, and he was delivering all of this as if he was in like the theater club doing some kind of show. It's like in the thespian troupe, he was given an assignment to act as a comically evil CEO, and he aced it. Because after doing this, he sank the whole company. They speed ran bankruptcy here. The company is, like I said, pretty much officially gone now. Around 50 or so employees have lost their jobs, and it all stemmed from this. This wasn't just like a combination of things. This was solely the CEO making a fucking fool out of himself and his company on this live stream during this giveaway. And then, of course, after this came out, a few other things were revealed, like apparently the way they were doing taxes may not have been up to code. I don't know a whole lot about that. That's alleged, but it is alleged that their business license or whatever was revoked and assets were frozen and shit like that. I'm not too sure there, but you can trace all of it back to this live stream, this fucking blunder here. They got scholars mated by their own CEO. They speed ran dead company all because of this one live stream fail. It honestly would have been less detrimental to the company if Noah, the CEO, had just gone on stream and goatsied himself, just full-blown spread his asshole at the camera like, hey, PC fans, you wanted a new PC build? Well, how about I look at my colon instead, and then just spread his cheeks apart. The company might even still be around in that case. Artesian Builds was a company that grew off of partnering with creators as well as just creating a community around their personalities. Like, they streamed every build, they streamed pretty much every day, and they signed with pretty much every streamer on the fucking planet. They worked with the big boys like OTK, Mr. Beast, Nick Merckx, and everyone like that, and they had built a level of trust and a community around them. So when Noah does something like this, it completely breaches that. No creators want to associate with them anymore. So when the creators left, the consumers left, and Artesian Builds was left with their dick in their hand. They had nothing they could do anymore. It genuinely destroyed the whole company. Like I mentioned, I was partnered with Artesian Builds. I signed with them like over 2 years ago or somewhere in that ballpark. When I was like first with them, they had like 10K followers on Twitter and like 40 viewers per stream on Twitch. And they reached out to me and they just struck me as such professional and nice people. They were super sweet. And they obviously knew what they were doing because their builds slapped. I never had an issue with any of their builds or anything. And everyone I talked to, I didn't get any bad vibes from. And I even talked to Noah a couple times and I never once got the impression that he was like this, like what you saw on stream. So when this happened, I was equally as shocked and upset as everyone else. But I think it's important that people realize that there was like 50 or so employees at Artesian Builds. It wasn't just like the Noah show. So when he sank the company, 50 or so people lost their fucking jobs. And some of them, it was their passion. Like they loved it. There's one guy at Artesian Builds in particular that I'm not going to mention any names, but he was actually the one who came up with the giveaways in the first place. And the whole idea behind it is he just wanted to give high-end PCs to people that might not have been able to afford them and just give it to anyone of any size. That was the whole idea behind the giveaways in the first place. The CEO, Noah, didn't actually create the giveaways. It was this guy who came up with the whole idea just to like give shit away and like have a fun community that can just win PCs. And what happened is Noah took that and went fucking wild and wacky, full-blown insano style madman. He went off book going rogue and had this meltdown about it, which ruined everything. But again, it's important people realize there was a lot more people at Artesian Builds than just Noah. Noah ruined it for a lot of people who now don't have a job. And it only took a week. So it's not like a lot of those people have a backup plan either. So I really find the whole situation to be extremely sad. There's no excuse for what the CEO did, and especially with what he did after this happened. When this initially broke, he went to Twitter on the Artesian Builds Twitter account, and there were statements made that were just so tasteless. Basically, instead of apologizing when this got pointed out to them, they had like a 4-tweet long thing that I'm not going to show here, but basically what it boiled down to them was saying, what it boiled down to was them saying, "Oh, we were doing one of our normal dope-ass epic PC giveaways on stream, and things got a little weird, and I'm sorry you guys made yourselves mad about it, but just remember, we're doing some fucking incredible PC giveaways on our Twitch stream all the time, so we're fucking awesome. You guys made yourselves mad, and we're sorry for that. But yeah, back to epic giveaways." It was a non-apology, and they were just patting themselves on the ass for nothing. Like, it was so terribly handled. So, not only was the initial clip horrible, but the immediate response was as bad as it could have possibly been. Then they released another statement, like on an official document, or what was supposed to be an official document, but again, this seems like it came just directly from the CEO trying to not look as bad as he was looking currently. And again, missed the point entirely. It was more non-apology, and they still never even honored the giveaway. They still never even like tried to like publicly say, we will just give the winner the PC. They just kept trying to like push that to the side, like, there's so many rules, so much red tape, oh my god, so much was going wrong. The quantum physics of the Artesian Build formula for giveaways, so many numbers weren't adding up, the calculations were wrong. So that didn't go over well. And then Noah made an apology video, which was even worse than the other two. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. I bet if they did another one, it would have devolved into just full-blown Scatman. Like, it wouldn't even be on the same topic anymore. The apology video he released, again, I'm not going to show any clips from, but it was as generic as it gets. Terrible audio mixing. It sounded like actual garbage. Sounded like he was talking to you through a walkie-talkie. And he just seemed so mad. Like, just so genuinely mad that all of this became an issue. Like, failing to recognize the actual meat of the problem. And what made it even sillier is he let out a giant sigh, like a big sigh, and went, "Going forward, anyone of any size can win a giveaway." Like, he was just so fucking mad that now anyone of any size can win a giveaway. Even though in the past, anyone of any size could win the giveaway. That was the whole point of the fucking giveaway, is that anyone can win it. But now that this became an issue, he's like, fine, anyone can win one, I guess, and then like kicks like dirt or something. Like he just seemed so fucking upset, and the worst thing was like now he has to say that anyone can win a PC. It's like I'm getting a little lost. It couldn't have been handled worse. The initial situation here was horrible on stream, no excuse for it whatsoever, and then the way it was handled afterwards could genuinely not have been worse. It was an absolute carnival of disaster. Just an overall really sad situation for so many people that were employed by Activision or worked with them. I just wanted to talk about it because I was personally invested in this, obviously, and it just sucked to see it unfold like this, and it's something that I feel needs to be talked about. It's also like the only instance I can think of a multi-million-dollar company actually closing its doors because of a single horrible decision made on a live stream. Just an overall wild week for Activision builds, and yeah, just wanted to talk about everything there. That's about it. So yeah. Escape from Tarkov? More like escape from the video games industry, because their new greedy decision is having them run out of town with people chasing them down with pitchforks and leaving their game in droves. Escape from Tarkov probably needs no introduction. It's a massively popular game, and they just pulled a huge blunder that is catastrophic for their company. They are releasing a new PvE game mode at a $250 price point. That is so many doubloons it makes me want to spit. For $250, I expect to download this new mode and then actually have the CEO of Battlestate Games come over and rim me out. That is stupid to be charging for DLC. But even aside from that delusional price point, it commits every unforgivable atrocity that could ever befall a video game. It breaks all the rules, commits every sin that not even the Lord can forgive. It is pay to win out the wazoo, and this is something they actually doubled down on today, which I'll cover soon. This is a story that's been developing over the last like 24 plus hours, and it just keeps getting worse. It's like they're trying to find every possible electrical outlet to stick a fork in until it finally ruins the company. Like, they are so focused on burying their fist as far up their own ass as possible. So it's pay to win in the very literal sense of being pay to win, but the absolute worst part is that it broke a promise to their community who had bought into a previous edition they offered. It was misleading their entire community. So they offered something called the Edge of Darkness edition for $100 in the past. And one of the perks of buying that $100 Edge of Darkness edition is that you would have access to all subsequent DLC in the future for free. So $100 is a lot of money for a DLC, but it was kind of like an investment long-term into the game that they loved. So they paid that $100 under the impression that in the future, if more DLC content was coming, they'd have access to it without needing to pay more. But now, fast forward to the Unheard edition for $250, they are not allowing the Edge of Darkness buyers access to that DLC for free. They would still need to buy that. Now, initially, that was going to be it. You'd have to pay the extra $150, but with all of the backlash that understandably came from this, they decided to dip their toes into a compromise where they would offer the EOD buyers 6 months of access to the Unheard edition, so they get like a fucking free trial, like a drug dealer giving them like their first hit for free. It's laughably pathetic. I don't even think Mr. Krabs would pull some shit like this, because even he would recognize that this would ruin his business. This is incomprehensible greed. I learned about all of this last night on stream, so I'm going to play you all of those clips to get you caught up to speed on the lore and exactly what's been going on here and how bad it all is. And then I'm going to come in to give you the latest updates with what's been happening today, only a couple of hours ago, because it continues to get worse and worse for Escape from Tarkov somehow. Earlier today, the Unheard edition of Escape from Tarkov was announced as part of the latest patch, promising a brand new player versus environment mode and other bonuses. Yippee! Now that the edition has launched, fans are not happy with the bonus it gives and the massive $250 price tag. That is a big chunk of change that even has EA and Ubisoft doing this right now. So just this one DLC was $250? The first issue that fans have is that the player versus environment mode for Tarkov is exclusive to those who buy the new edition. This is despite the fact that anyone who purchased the old Edge of Darkness edition was promised all future DLC content as part of the season pass, which you would think would include this new mode. So this is false advertising? Is that what they're coming after Tarkov for? Because they're saying that you get all future DLC with this, and now they're not giving you all future DLC? A lot of fans who have the Edge of Darkness edition are rightfully very annoyed they now have to upgrade from EOD, which costs $100, in order to play it. However, some posts on the official Discord have tried to explain why BSG thinks this is not DLC. Please don't tell me they're trying to fight their battle. Well, actually, they push up their glasses. It's not DLC by the technical terminology. That's not the correct nomenclature. This is a new single-player experience, thus, they did not circumvent any laws. Not only that, there's a clip from Landmark channel of them changing the wording on their website live to hide what they did. I'll check that out. It's from Landmark. It ain't DLC, it's unique feature of the new edition added, said Discord user Applezor, who is the lead community manager at Battlestate Games for Escape from Tarkov. DLC means additional downloadable content. PvE is a feature and a game mode. Just because you all want it to become a DLC, it wouldn't mean it is one. It's featured game mode for the new edition of the game. Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town? What? What kind of weak-ass argument is that? Huh? That's a lot worse than I thought that was going to be. The other major issues that fans have been complaining about is the big in-game bonuses players with the new edition will get. While other editions of the game give some bonuses, so far none have been major factors when on the map and fighting with other players. The closest is extra loot that they get at the start of a wipe. However, this new edition includes more space to store loot when on the map, improved skills at the start of a wipe, and a bonus where AI scavs will not shoot at them if they have over 6 reputation levels with fence. So that's what the pay-to-win article was about then, which is an entirely separate issue. These, along with some other bonuses, have led to the edition being labeled pay-to-win, with players who buy it expected to have a big advantage over those who do not. The reaction to the new edition has been so negative that all but 3 channels in the official Escape from Tarkov Discord have been silenced, with users not able to post in them. Moderators on the game's subreddit are also waiving the rule that prevents multiple posts about the same topic, saying they are just as livid about this situation as you. You know things are reaching like deep DEFCON levels if even the subreddit mods are like, nope, we're mad about this as well. That's when you know you have truly fucked up. Battlestate Games did not respond to my request for comment. Battlestate Games is yet to officially comment on the backlash, with pressure mounting from fans and some even looking into legal action. You would expect them to do it so sooner rather than later. The move also comes at a very bad time given that Gray Zone Warfare, a game many see as a competitor to Tarkov, has just wrapped up its first public streamer test, which has gone incredibly well with fans. With public sentiment towards Tarkov very low, many fans are hoping they can get their hands on Gray Zone Warfare sooner rather than later. Here's an update at 8:15. The official Escape from Tarkov account has posted a statement that seems to suggest Battlestate Game has no plans to make the new mode available to anyone who does not buy the new edition. Hey guys, listen, we heard the outrage. Fuck you. PvE mode is a unique feature which is available only for owners of the Unheard Edition. We will keep you updated on new features exclusive for EOD owners. And then they even got community noted. New game modes are generally accepted as DLC if put behind a paywall. Battlestate sold EOD with the promise that they would receive free access to all subsequent DLCs. So they're even getting their ham steamed by fucking Twitter community notes. Not only that, there's a radio you can call in friends mid-raid to help you as a PMC, which has never been a feature. It sounds very strong. You're still gonna buy it, right? Brother, I don't play Tarkov. And you would never catch me spending $250 for a fucking DLC. I don't even buy DLC when it's like $5. You think I'm gonna drop 250 clams on this? Who do you think you are? I am. Or I'm not. I would not do that. That's craziness. Tarkov devs are also shitting on the competitor game on Twitter. That just means that they're kind of desperate. I imagine this is what you're talking about from his stream. They just changed what you get retroactively to avoid the folks calling them out. I've talked with ANPC, National Agency for Customer Protection again. The only way we can solve this is if we make formal complaints to BSG about this. If they are left unresolved for 30 days, we can proceed with the lawsuit, no problem. If they answer negatively, we can proceed. I suggest you all to do formal complaints as BSG. Make them have 1,000 lawsuits at once. This is available for Europe, the 30 days thing. Man, that severely underpaid social media guy for BSG is gonna have the worst 30 days of his life. Meanwhile, all the big wigs are just going to be counting their money from the whales that won't be able to contain themselves, scratching at the neck and spinning the 250. I've been playing Tarkov for like 8 years. This hurts, man. Yeah, I don't even play Tarkov, and this is pretty painful just to read. I don't know how they thought this would go over well. That's something that I just can't wrap my head around. Like, it's 2024. These companies hire tech-savvy people. They have social media experts. They have these fucking think tanks and focus groups, and yet somehow these kind of decisions still go through. There really must just be this epidemic of people that spend money no matter what and say nothing. Like, this has to somehow be profitable for them, because it happens too often. The big problem is them changing the promise. Oh, and that's not even that is a big problem, but to me the biggest problem is just like this outrageous price point that they thought was gonna work. Even if there was no broken promises, I still feel like most people would see $250 for some fucking DLC and scoff. Look at Star Wars Outlaws, for example. Granted, you get a lot more out of this for $250 than you do out of Star Wars Outlaws for $130, but even still, those prices are fucking insano style. And you want to know what else is laughable and pathetic? Their social media guy who's fighting for his life right now on Twitter. So, Escape from Tarkov is by far the biggest in the genre. However, there are a couple of competitors. And this lone warrior with access to BSG's Twitter, the company behind Escape from Tarkov, is doing his best to try and play hardball, fight fire with fire. But he didn't realize he was bringing piss to a poop fight and ended up covered in filth. He desperately tried to plant his feet here and make a public slapping display. There was another game that was taking advantage of all of the hoopla here, recognizing that Tarkov fumbled and that a lot of players were leaving, so they made an announcement saying like, hey, you guys are welcome in our game. And the BSG social media champion tried this little maneuver. Have a nice 20-minute adventure in the blatant plagiarist game, in and out. And then even got slapped by Twitter, community noted, saying, hey, it's not plagiarism. They need to prove that assets were taken from EFT. So even Twitter's making fun of BSG. Now let's start with the newest developments here. The biggest one by far is a supposed unreleased interview with BSG. I'm not going to get too specific about it because I don't know if I'm even allowed to really talk about it. I'm pretty sure I can't show it because, again, it is unreleased. But basically the interview went as bad as you could have possibly imagined. The interview opens with him saying that all of this is not a mistake. He's not forcing anyone to buy their game. So, suck it up, basically. And then another question that was asked point blank was, are you contemplating any solutions since this has been received so poorly? And he gave a single word response, no. So it doesn't seem like there's any signs of them changing their minds with this direction here. The whole interview was him just basically throwing everything into the shitter and saying, deal with it. 250, fork it over, is what it is. We're not changing this. And then, this one blew my mind. They did make a slight update to all of this, where instead of addressing the price problem or the lying about what EOD owners will get in the future or the shady, scummy attempt at hiding things on their website, instead of addressing any of the complaints, they instead doubled down on pay-to-win features. In response to all of this, everything that's been going on, they basically come out and say like, hey guys, look, we've heard you. We see what's going on here. We're listening. So we're giving you more pay-to-win features. Mother of pearl, just look at this list. One of these is high-priority matchmaking. They're getting a priority queue for 6 months. It's not even the lifetime. Keep in mind, they're not giving you lifetime access to the Unheard Edition pay-to-win shit. It's a 6-month trial to try and get you hooked and hopefully get the whales to buy into the 250 down the line. Like, this is... Their solution to all of this shows just how out of touch and greedy they are. This is greed on a scale I don't think I've ever seen in the games industry before. This is making EA sweat. EA right now is taking notes. They're like, whoa, how are they doing this? Like, they're right now, they're trailblazing. Like, I feel terrible for EFT players. I never really got super deep into Tarkov. I've tried it a few times, but I'm just not big into the extraction genre, to be honest. But man, this must suck as a big fan of the game. This is so unacceptable. The best case scenario here is another game comes and does what EFT does better and isn't led by the greediest, stupidest fucking people in the industry. That's the best case scenario here, but who knows how long something like that will take. The dumb assholes at Battlestate Games have really done something shocking here. In an industry that is overcome with greed out the wazoo, somehow Battlestate Games just found a new low. That's impressive, actually impressive. Anyway though, wishing the best for the EFT community during this time, because Jesus, that shit is awful. Yeah, so I just want to talk about this a little bit. That's it. See ya. Have you seen the Scintbird CEO? She does a podcast with her eyes closed to talk to spirits and said Hitler wasn't bad. What? The Scintbird CEO does this. Wait. I know Scintbird. Yeah, wait, you're right. The Scintbird CEO claims to be a spiritual medium. Or, sorry, not a spiritual medium, a spiritual guru. The co-founder of the Netflix for Fragrance, Mariah Nuraslamova, has been moonlighting as a spiritual influencer. Comments on extraterrestrials, The Matrix, and Hitler have recently attracted negative attention. Your teeth are not randomly crooked, there is a spiritual meaning. Every little aspect of the tooth is a map, right? This sounds beautifully unhinged. You see they found a cave on the moon? Oh, we got moon troglodytes now? That's pretty cool. This is I can't find the clips anywhere else right now, so right now, completely reliant on the YouTubers here to bless me with this info. I want to see these readings.
Version of the Matrix will be the default one. The 5th version of the Matrix is actively being incubated, and according to Maria, it's showing really good signs and is looking promising.
Now there is a new version of the Matrix that's being currently incubated. The 5th version of the Matrix.
Matrix
and,
5?
That one is showing signs of really good promise, so...
Maria mentions having a direct...
Wait a minute, I need to go to our website. There's a Matrix 5 dropping? This is Maria. She is the CEO of Scintbird, which I think many of you have probably seen through YouTube sponsors. They were pretty big on influencer marketing, from what I recall.
So when you are inviting black into your body, you're not inviting demons, God forbid. You're not inviting evil into your body. You are inviting this moldable substance that contains all life inside, that contains all light inside, that contains the entire spectrum of everything.
Okay, she's about to cast a hollow purple. I don't really care about that. Where did she do, like, the spiritual readings, like where she talks about Hitler and everything? I don't need to know about her curse technique.
I mean, I'm in the presence of an architect, of the Great Architects Council of Light, but sadly
that is big.
Wasn't the case.
That is
that
big.
Automatically crushed while listening to her guided meditation for an ultimate womb detox.
Whoa, an ultimate womb detox? Whoa, hey, hold on, I can use that.
Hello, my darlings, and welcome to Our Sacred Universe, a podcast where we meditate together.
I'm ready.
Today I wanted to offer you a womb healing practice.
Thank you.
Our womb space is where we deposit a lot of our hurt, a lot of our pain, a lot of our suffering. But a womb space, or if you will, our sacral space,
I
is
have
something
that.
everyone has.
I have
and
nipples,
so
Greg. Can you milk me?
You, if you haven't checked out my book yet,
no, hold on. I don't need the hashtag ads here. Just give me my womb needs a little bit of assistance here.
Keep breathing in and out.
Imagine I just have a full
Using
body
the
orgasm
power
from
of
this.
your breath to ground and center yourself. Invite the healing vibrations of the universe to enter the sacred space of your womb. Breath.
See, like, we skip a step. How do I invite the healing vibrations of the universe to fuck my womb or whatever? Like, what do I do? Like, how do I send out the distress signal? That's where these guided meditations always fall apart for me. Like, they make it sound like it's so easy that I can just call upon healing vibrations. Like, I'm not a shaman. Like, can you call it for me? Thanks, membership, Oz. Book a reservation. Yeah, what availability do the healing vibrations have in the universe? I imagine they're probably pretty booked up. Why are you detoxing your womb? It sounded helpful. If you're just tuning in, to give you context, this individual, Maria, is the CEO of Scintbird, which is actually a pretty big company, or at least it was. I don't know if it still is. And according to Chatter, the Scentbird CEO has found herself into some controversy because of this line of work, where apparently she was saying that Hitler wasn't bad through her spiritual guru sessions. And I'm trying to locate that, but I'm getting all like sidetracked here, going through these alternate branching paths in the visual novel. So I'm still looking for that, but it's such an interesting tangent. Big thanks to OperaGX for sponsoring this video. OperaGX is the browser you see me use every single night on stream. It's just my go-to browser, and it has so many features that I just really have come to know and love. Obviously, the one that I always preach about, because it's the one I'm most enthusiastic about, is the fact that OperaGX is not a resource hog like Chrome and other browsers. It is so lightweight but so powerful, and the GX mods that it offers are super fun, so you can really customize it to make it feel like your own and make it feel super unique. There's just so many things you can change and tinker around with. There's so many different ways of integrating extensions that you're already used to in other browsers to seamlessly transition them into Opera. They have the GX store. They just have so many features. The hot tabs killer, forcing things to go from flashbang into forced dark mode, so you don't have to go to a new website and then just get blinded by a bright light. It's just the best browser, in my opinion. So, big thanks to OperaGX for sponsoring this. You can download Opera right now for free by clicking the link in the description. The dark truth about coffee, it is a toxin that darkens your aura? What? Coffee is bad for your aura?
It also darkens our aura as it does. As it does so, as it works with our body. So it's almost like when coffee gets into your aura, it creates these little anchors or these little dots of itself. It's almost like it gives an energetic imprint into your body.
What?
And though that energetic imprint is kind of what causes an addiction, because it's gonna...
The energetic imprint is what causes an addiction, and it darkens our aura through that. How the fuck does it touch my aura?
When you evolve.
Okay.
Over time, what ends up happening to your soul is you accumulate more and more light in your body. So you grow and expand, and you grow and expand by accumulating more light and kind of releasing darkness, if that makes sense. Over here,
it makes so much sense,
a lot of
actually.
things in your life are dependent on how much light you can hold within your body, especially if you're on spiritual path. For people that are able to hold on a lot of light in their auric fields, their spiritual gifts open up. Their abundance channels open up. Their
abundance
talents open
channels?
up. Essentially, like their higher selves come through, and then the body is considered clean, so your higher self is willing to inhabit more of your physical body.
What is happening?
And therefore, you will always have connected. You become a channel.
That's a lot to process. She's blowing the lid wide open on what it means to be alive. Your higher self gave you this name for a reason. I mean, it's my dad's name. Is that the reason my higher self gave it to me? These are so interesting. I'm never gonna find the video where she's apparently talking about Hitler. I'm just gonna keep going down these wacky fucking titles. Why did my higher self name me Charles?
Hello, my darlings.
I feel like it's because it's my dad's
This
name.
is Maria. The topic for today is Maria.com. All right, the mystery of the name. This is kind of a fun topic.
It's not a mystery.
That is
It's
what
just
we're
not
diving
a mystery
into.
for like most people.
I don't think it would be vowels and the consonants in the name, through the letters in the name, connects you to certain aspects of universal flow, universal energy, if you will.
Huh?
And because you're so attached, in a good way, to your name, you have a claim over those energies.
Okay, I claim all of the energies of C-H-A-R-L-E and S. No one else can have them. That's my domain now, and I'm kicking everyone else out. Eliminate pain and heal a specific organ or part of your body. Teaching you how to use the Force. Are you a star seed? Yes. One thing that did come up, though, is called the Karma of Atlantis. It's time to release it. Here's how you can do it right now. Like, raise Atlantis myself? I can do that?
Favorite YouTubers have promoted a brand that normally wouldn't show up on my scam/problematic radar scanner.
Scentbird.
Yeah, I told you it was a big thing. Told you that.
That at least outwardly, because the CEO of Scentbird, Maria Nurislamova, stinks.
Our bodies choose to miscarry children.
Oh.
It's not an accident that happens. It's a choice. If people were to align with their life purpose, we would see a lot less cancer on planet Earth. You could heal yourself from any disease. I don't care if it's cancer. I don't care if it's AIDS. It could be whatever. But you could heal yourself in the span of under 7 days.
We're going to talk about the spiritual reasons for being overweight.
Like, look at Hitler, who's one of the poster children for like being an evil person. Do you know how many millions of souls benefited from learning from the experience that he has created? So is he evil? Not really. I don't think so.
Wow, Maria. Those spiritual sessions are sending you down the loony path.
A lot of hidden agendas by the powers that be. And those hidden agendas remain hidden because there is not enough heart space energy in humanity to be able to bring them to light. The heart energy is always the energy of light. The heart energy is always the energy that essentially you emanate your energy from the heart. The heart is one of those energies that if your heart is activated internally, you can heal your whole body in a matter.
I will say, if your heart isn't activated, you're probably not watching this video in the first place. You are dead. Most likely. Bearing some, like, very fringe cases.
That is the power of the heart. It changes your internal ecosystem and it changes your external ecosystem. It just does. It is meant to. It is.
Well, who knew? Who knew? It's like breathing techniques from Demon Slayer, but for your heart. It can do anything. It's just like a bunch of gobbledygook. This is like, there's nothing that binds these statements together. It's just like a random assortment of words that have no real meaning. This is the problem when I'm looking through pages like this. I get so distracted by so many cool titles. She has one here called Babies Control How Long Their Birth Is. Like, this is unhinged. God damn it.
That's why certain births take so long, is in the state of resistance. If the baby's in a state of fear, if the baby doesn't want to access their masculine energies, the birth process is going to take longer. That's why someone...
Wait, what? The baby doesn't want to tap into its masculine energies, so it doesn't want to be birthed? What the fuck? The baby comes out like scoops of, like, creatine. What in the world? Shit's not even born in amniotic fluid, it's just like a bunch of, like, trin. What is this? What is she talking about? This isn't even spiritual.
I have a hard time answering the question about evil because there is such a big gap between how humanity perceives good versus evil and how, you know, even beings in the seventh dimension perceive
the seventh dimension. Who's in the seventh dimension?
Higher self perceives.
Glorbus? Like who are you communicating with in the seventh fucking dimension?
Stepping back, let's say your higher self wants to understand murder.
Should be easy
It's just
to understand.
A fascinating subject for your higher self.
Okay.
If it wants to understand murder,
Jesus Christ.
Angle. So your higher self may choose to come as a victim, as the mother of the victim, as the father of the victim.
Why?
As the teacher of the victim.
Why would it want to? So, based on what I've gathered, very limited exposure to her spiritual guru benevolence, it seems like she believes you are the product of your higher self wanting to be experimental. So when something bad happens, it's because your higher self is trying to learn about it. So here, she's using murder as an example. So if you are someone who gets murdered or associated with the victim of a murder, it's because your higher self wanted to be in that position. It was all predestined because your higher self wanted to be present for it, to learn about it. Which is the dumbest idea ever. That's actually the stupidest fucking idea.
And by the way, like, look at Hitler. He's one of the poster children for, like, being an evil person. Do you know how many millions of souls benefited from learning from the experience that he has created? So
the
here,
world serpent has awakened.
You know,
like
like, look
Hell
at
and Goldie.
a character like him and be like, oh, he's completely evil. And upstairs, his experience was the greatest, one of the greater, you know, sources of knowledge of, you know, of 3D planet Earth warfare.
3D planet Earth warfare.
And that is benefiting
What?
so many different souls on their.
This is a very interesting take, Maria. So, There's a lot to unpack there, Maria. There's a lot to process. The healing vibrations of the universe have not been kind to her frontal lobe. Wow, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Evolutionary path, so is he evil? Not really. I don't think so.
So interesting. So just it means that some higher selves choose to take this path, and it seems like it's maybe a bit less desirable than other ones because we don't have that many murderers and mass murderers especially, right? But they still choose to do so for their own development. Like,
well, do you want me to give you an even better example?
Yeah.
That was an incredible example,
Do you think
Maria.
playing World of Warcraft is evil because you're killing things?
Like in a computer game,
Yeah.
people don't think it's evil. Yes.
I know. Same logic. It's a computer game from higher self level. Like, fine. Like, I don't know. Any of those
Same logic. Yeah, killing goblins in World of Warcraft is the same as Hitler for the Holocaust. You hypocrites. What an interesting character she is. Her higher self has very much done her a great justice. Her enlightenment is astounding. She's trolling. I don't know, she has a whole career based out of this, and apparently you can even pay for these sessions privately. But her main hustle is Scentbird, which again is a pretty popular product, or at least it was for a little while. She's the CEO of it, or at least was.
RPG games, I think RPG is what they're called, right? Like where you like go and like murder, you know, all kinds of beings.
They're not
which way through
beings.
Sunday,
They're
with all kinds
pixels.
of weapons, and you're like, I need this strength and I need this skill, and let me have this gun, and I want a bigger gun and even more bullets and blah blah blah. I mean, you go in, you may have murdered 1,000 beings.
They're
on
not
the
beings.
screen,
They're not real.
And then you go on your merry way, and nobody's pointing a finger at you at work and being like, this is a mass murderer. But how is that any different? So that's what I'm
That's
saying.
so
Like,
good.
What you perceive as
Oh
evil
my god.
is not the same experience. Now, you as an avatar, right? You as a person who chooses to play a game, you choose what game you want to play, right? Like, you may go and play Candy Crush. You may go.
She's so fascinating. Like she's dangerously stupid. Like actually stupid to a level where it could be harmful to people around her. Like there's nothing wrong with being like harmlessly dumb, but when you start to cross the threshold, the event horizon that she is, she's to the point where like she is actually probably a threat to the safety of those around her. Yeah, like even her co-host is laughing at that. All right, we don't have to continue down this rabbit hole. I'll stop. This kind of shit though is always just so interesting to me. The co-host is her husband, who is also co-founder and CPO of Scentbird. That must be a great relationship. Honey, I'm gonna have a cup of coffee. And Maria comes out, no! Slaps the coffee mug out of his hands. It's gonna darken your aura! Remember what happened when you killed that level 6 thug in World of Warcraft? You're just like Hitler!